What is up, everyone? This is Sean Mott. Welcome to Metalcore Nerds. Before we get started with everything, the merch on sale at metalcorenerds.com is all half off until the end of the year. So if you're looking to buy a shirt, pick something up. There's very limited quantities available. Even the pins are half off, so they're just $5. Pick something up. For anyone who's been a fan of The Mandalorian, next week's episode is going to be a season 2 discussion. So I'm very excited for that. If you're a Star Wars fan, we'll probably talk about some of the new stuff. There's probably way too much to cover, but I'll probably at least bring it up and talk about it. Obviously, this week was a crazy fucking week for nerd pop culture news. Disney dropped a fucking bombshell of Marvel, Disney, Hulu shows, Pixar shows. They dropped fucking everything. And I'm stoked for pretty much all of it, as most every nerd is, for sure. Bought the new Cyberpunk game this week. It's pretty cool. I've never really played a game like that. I know I've talked in this podcast before. I'm not like a huge gamer, but I've gotten more into different kind of games I've ever played before. Pretty cool. I think I'm doing stuff right. I don't really know. I don't really know if you can do things wrong and kind of open world games like this. The only open world stuff I've really played is really like Spider-Man and Miles Morales. So I know this is a lot different, obviously. But this week I have my friend Clark Gargan. He's in the band Second Death from Georgia. And we're talking about wrestling, talking about AEW, one of the hottest companies out right now. Definitely making some crazy moves and seeing where they can do some cross promotion with different promotions. I love the product. I watch it every week. I watch all the pay-per-views. I go over to my friend's house. We watch the pay-per-views together. I love this shit. So me and him pretty much just talk about what we've liked so far. You know, they're a year plus into it. Talk about the ties back into most of the creators and stars of the show being in the Indies, New Japan, Ring of Honor, stuff like that. So let's get right into it. Clark, what is up, my man?
Man, nothing much. Just been, enjoying my solitude on this weekend.
Yeah, we've all been in some form of solitude, in some way, shape, or form. You know.
Yeah, that gray stain on my bed's actually my cat, so she's doing it as well.
A gray stain.
It looks like it, doesn't it?
It does. It looks like a side pillow or something. A little bit. So I want to know, what have you been into during all this? Like, what have you been consuming, whether it's like video games, comics, TV shows? I know a lot of stuff got pushed back into next year, but we have been lucky to get a lot of shit this year too.
Yeah, this has been a really good year for content in general because of so many people have been able to capitalize on the opportunity to put something out there if they've had it. Obviously I'm a big fan of The Mandalorian. That's both first and second seasons. I've been crushing it. A lot of series have I've been able to spend the time at home to just dive into a bunch of stuff. Primarily obviously Mando. Really excited for the stuff that they're doing with Disney Plus and WandaVision in January. When it comes to other TV shows though, and this sounds crazy, but since it was April I started, but I finished Game of Thrones in a month. All 8 seasons.
That's not surprising.
Yeah. I get it, but it's so funny to me because I got started so late, and it was already over when I watched it.
Yeah.
How it's not a thing anymore. It was an insane cultural event for 7 or 8 years. And then once everything got fucked up, and everybody hated it, they literally acted like they removed it from they wrote it off the history books here. There's nobody talks about anything. It's just, it happened. It's done. It's it's not the 9/11. You know what I mean? Nobody remembers Game of Thrones anymore. It's crazy as fuck.
Which is crazy because my wife and I, we binged it right after it finished.
Okay.
So maybe a month or two after it finished. I watched the first 3 seasons kind of when it was happening, but it was so much to take in. I was I can't do this right now. I don't even know why. It's not like I didn't like it. It was just so much. And then watching the first 3 again, I was okay, now I kind of understand. I was I don't know anyone's name. I know who they are, but if you were this person, I'd be no idea. Tell me what they do, and then I'll know who they are. But the second viewing, I was oh, okay, I understand this way more. I was cool. And when we were done with it, it left a void. Because it's crazy that you say that because it's a TV show that really no one's ever been on that level. Ever. No, I don't know if anyone will ever replace it. Mando is pretty cool, but it's still not the level that Game of Thrones was. you
Well,
know?
it's character development for 8 years, and one of
Yeah.
the things that they did differently was nobody was fucking safe. You know what
No,
I mean?
yeah. Hey, we're gonna kill the main character in the first season.
You know, like,
What?
could you imagine like fucking Mando dies at the end of the first season, and you're like, or
I
like
know.
they just killed. I mean, it's like a couple weeks old now, but if they just killed Grogu first season, you know
Dude,
what I
if they
mean? Like,
killed Grogu first season, that would I think Disney would have been more hated for Star Wars than they already are, which I think is
oh man,
invalid,
I
but
mean,
that's just me.
yeah,
But dude,
like
so here's the thing. I've had this conversation with a ton of people. I don't hate the last season.
no,
I don't think
it's
it's
because I
as
also
good.
consumed it.
Yes, exactly. Like I didn't wait 2 years for the last season,
Mhm.
and so I was like, I get it, but it's not as bad as everyone thinks it is. It's just a good season, but compared
Yeah,
to the other seasons that are fucking incredible seasons, that's why you're so let down. And the other thing is that the ending makes sense. It makes perfect sense, but that's the problem because nothing in Game of Thrones makes sense. That's the
yeah,
whole like they hit you with the fucking crazy twist every season. That's like the
yeah.
big thing, and then it comes to the end and it just kind of ends in like a finite way, and everyone's like, "What?" you
Yeah,
know?
but yeah, and like I think the problem is too because like my fiance, she's reading all the books again after. So,
Oh,
and obviously the books like seasons 7 and 8, there's no content. It was
yeah,
all created by somebody
yeah,
else, and so like that's why they feel have such an issue. It'd be like us watching Star Wars and then George Lucas and like nobody else were like, all right, for the next. I mean, then again, they kind of fucking did it with
yeah, a little bit, yeah,
with the sequels, but it's like imagine if they had no base context. You know what I mean?
right,
Nothing at all, and it'd be the weirdest thing in the world. And like I feel like that's one of the things is they just rushed to finish a product that it was never even written yet. It was really
yeah,
cart before the horse style stuff.
which is tough.
Yeah,
I feel like even if it was crazy, people still would have hated it. It's like that's the one thing I hate about like certain fandoms is that even if it's amazing, people still hate it. Like obviously, Mandalorian has been like the one thing that most people are like, I love
yeah.
this because
The Golden Child.
it's
Yeah,
made for everyone. It's made for the super fucking nerds because it ties in
everything.
everything from Star Wars. It's bringing stuff in from Legends that like all the Legends nerds are like, yeah, everyone who got pissed off that they made Legends non-canon, which is like, dude, it's like saying like Marvel Comics, they're not fucking canon.
No.
Are you mad about that? No,
Yeah.
like,
I mean, I mean, dude, most comics like DC and Marvel, they retcon everything. Like, are you
oh
talking
yeah,
about?
yeah,
Because are you talking about New 52?
it's
Are
you,
you talking about before New 52? Are you
yeah,
talking about like the post like this? They rewrite fucking everybody
yeah.
every 15 years. You
Yeah,
know?
and there's event books that have nothing to do with anything. And there's
Yeah.
event books that tie in every run at once. It's just like, you got to have some continuity. So it's like, why are we gonna keep these books here that fill in all the gaps so we can't do it? You know?
Yeah. It's insane.
But yeah,
Speaking of toxic fandoms though,
oh god.
wrestling is
Oh, whew, rough.
that's the also thing that like where were you watching? It's like throughout this entire thing, the weekly entertainment that I usually watch is wrestling.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure.
um, I was a big WWE guy.
Same.
I watch the highlights now. I don't really like. I want to know what's going on, but I don't really care about anything other than. And it sounds crazy, but I care about Roman Reigns. Since the heel turn,
It's
he's
fair.
been the baddest motherfucker on the planet in that company, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, once I saw it, I was like, "That's cool. I can't believe they're actually doing it. That's
Yeah,
sick." But like,
he took the fucking vest off.
I don't even watch the highlights. Like, I don't. I am so disillusioned from WWE, even NXT, because for a while I just kind of like I would maybe watch the pay per views of WWE and
Yeah,
I would watch NXT, but then
yeah.
right before AEW came around, I was kind of just like NXT like lost its luster. There was like no
Hmm.
story. I used to call it the PWG of like WWE, but now it like is that. It's just like sick matches, but
Yeah,
like the stories are I guess there, but not really. Like people tell me what's going on and I'm like,
they don't. I
I
mean, they don't
don't
give them time.
care. I was like, why do I
Yeah,
care about
no.
like, Damian Priest versus Johnny Gargano? Like, why do I care? I
It
don't care.
it's also they even though I love NXT, like what they try to do, I just feel like from when it first, I wouldn't say first started, but a couple of years ago, they had just such big names that were stationary there.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like the Adam Cole and, Bobby Fishes and all that compare to like, fucking, I mean, I feel like they put Aleister Black in the ground. I thought he was like the
Yeah.
coolest thing, especially because we're both the music scene that we're in. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like the dude's got the
Yeah,
fucking
dude.
Code Orange, Incendiary. Like, I was like, all right, this is sick. But he got ran into the ground.
Yep.
And like Finn Balor was so fucking cool. Samoa Joe, obviously, he's like more of a commentator thing now. But it's like they don't have that next step. The only cool guy I like in NXT is fucking Walter because he is just a brick shithouse.
Yeah, he's terrifying. He's a
I
scary motherfucker.
I don't even know what like I don't even know like that's the guy where it's like, yo, I really wish he was in another company because just put him and push him to the moon.
Yeah, he
Like,
it's weird because he can still, because he signed like a weird deal where he's like,
yeah, because he's in Germany, I think.
yeah,
And obviously with the pandemic, he just doesn't really do much.
yeah. I mean, I think that Adam Cole was kind of on par with the other stuff because obviously he was like a huge indie guy, but
Yeah.
they just like Undisputed Era when they came in, I was like, this is fucking sick. Like I love this. Yeah. But then they didn't do anything with it to further it. And that's what was the issue. You can't do the same thing over and over and expect it to, like that. That's why the New Day was so popular. They kept doing different shit. You know what I mean?
That's the shining light of WWE. I'll never say that the New Day, like anything involving any of them, especially I'm stoked that they're doing the Big E singles run because I think the guy's got the most charisma on the planet. The guy's the fucking coolest dude. I listen to their podcast all the time and it's a really funny podcast, like Jesus Christ. But like besides those three people, I stopped caring. I loved Kevin Owens. I don't care anymore. I loved Sami Zayn. Don't care anymore. I love Daniel Bryan. I literally don't care anymore. It's played out, and it's also like I hate the Thunderdome thing. That to me is
it's so shot,
just mad corny.
The thing that made it
and I know
the worst for me was that, hey, we're gonna lay off all these people because we need to save money, and then they put like hundreds of thousands of dollars in this Thunderdome thing, and I was like,
yeah,
really? Like you just made this whole thing and it was to save money, which in retrospect you didn't save that much. Like I think someone put out the numbers and they saved like a percentage of what their bottom line was, and then they're like, oh hey, we're gonna put hundreds of $1,000s into this fucking venue thing. And it's like, I get it, like you kind of get the crowd experience, I guess, or whatever, but I was like, dude, that's so shitty. Like it's such like a slap in the face, It would be almost like Disney, like, hey, we laid off all these people, but hey, we just acquired Sony for $6 billion or something. You know what I mean? Like, what?
Like that's why I like AEW, because they said Tony Khan, and of course the guy's got the fucking bread to do it. He said, I'm not releasing anybody because of the pandemic. They might cut some people, which they have done.
Yeah.
But it's nothing compared to that. And like, I understand there's a new kid on the block. They're in practically year one because they started in October.
So like just past 1 year.
And I still and I understand it might be fresh, but it's been fresh for a year, and I'm still
it's a long time to be
wanting to watch it.
It's a long time to be fresh. Yeah. Dude, what were your feelings when it like first got announced? Like obviously they kind of did the all-in thing, which was super sick because it kind of like merged the indie worlds. And on top of this, like Cody and the Young Bucks did so much for indie wrestling that I feel like a lot of people ignore. Like they are the reason New Japan is in a hot topic. They are the reason. They had the first wrestling pops that weren't WWE, and they had the New Japan logo on it. That's why I'm like, we'll talk about this a little later, but like when the Bucks came out first and we're like, yeah, they didn't want, we wanted to do shit with them, but they said no. And I'm like, they made you popular in America. Like the Bullet Club is the reason people care about New Japan in America. Like 100%. Obviously they have Okada and Ibushi in their home and Naito and their homegrown talents that are fucking phenomenal. But this audience would not know about them if it wasn't for them.
For the rest of the just like all of North America, pretty much, in Europe and everybody, they got attracted to the Gaijin in New Japan, and the Gaijin were the Bullet Club. That's the whole reason why the Bullet Club started. Like, I mean, AEW first, it kind of like came to fruition because of the first one, All In, like you said. And All In was just a bet. Dave Meltzer, the wrestling reporter guy, he was like, ROH can't sell 10,000 tickets. And Cody and the Young Bucks were like, bet, we'll do it. So they partnered with ROH, and pretty much it was I wrote it down here. It was they brought in 11,000 people, and it was the largest audience for a non WWE WCW show since 1993.
So nuts.
And it's like that's a we'll fucking prove you wrong moment, and it's like that's really where like I obviously like it started, but like you know I bought All In, and it was like 50, $60, and it's like
Yeah.
I don't buy pay-per-views. I have the network and all that, so I got just $12, whatever. Um, but I watched it, and yeah, it was rough around the edges, but it felt good. It's like when like in the music scene, you might go to like a fest that might not be like the biggest fest in the world, like this is hardcore or whatever, but you go to something that's like ran really well, and you have people that like you want to see. It doesn't matter if like the sound wasn't that good or like the
Right.
crowd was, it's like it's fucking fresh, it's new, and it's invigorating, and that's what like got me so into it was, it's people that I haven't seen, which was the coolest thing about it is like
Yeah.
I follow a lot of wrestling. But when I'm like, who the fuck are these guys? It was
Right.
really cool. The Dark Order thing, like who they were beforehand, I never knew who they were before. Like the original Dark Order, like Stu and
Super
Evil
Smash
Uno.
Bros.
Yeah, I never knew that. And
I
so then
only
I
I
go
only
on
knew
YouTube
about
and I look all
them.
their shit up.
Yeah, I only knew about them because I think Evil Uno was in PWG a little bit, and I knew the name. But also, they're from Canada, and they used to wrestle in like Smash Wrestling, which is in Buffalo, which is like
Oh
near
yeah,
my
yeah,
general vicinity. So it's like I would see their names all the time because that's where like Andy Williams started
yeah,
wrestling stuff was there, and
yeah,
obviously like me living in upstate New York, like
yeah,
Etid.
dude.
I mean, everyone loves Etid, but Etid's like it's like a almost like a hometown thing for me, even though I'm not from Buffalo. But like,
You're from upstate New York. It's the same shit,
dude, yeah. When
honestly.
I lived in Syracuse, I saw them once or twice a year, every
Yeah,
year, and they
and
were like they were the band.
yeah,
Know?
you would go like to the season, right? Like
Oh
when you had
yeah,
the
yeah.
chance.
I went a
Yeah.
few years ago, and it was fucking so sick.
Yeah.
And like, so I knew them just because of that. Really, that's the only reason. It's just like I'm near where they would wrestle all the time, and but like you said, that's why they're like almost why their introduction. People were like, "Who is this?"
Yeah.
Like, it was the same with like Andy Williams in the Blade.
I forget his name, dude. Butcher and Blade, but it's like I know it's Andy because
It's Brandon. I know his name's like Brandon Sutter or something like that.
Braxton Sutter. Braxton Sutter. There we go.
Because it used to go by Pepper Parks. Because again, there was a local fed around here called 2CW, which is I saw the craziest shit in that shit. But he used to
Really?
wrestle all the time. It was him and Pepper Parks, and when Allie was Cherry Bomb before.
Oh, so Allie was with them too in the beginning.
They were never a team when I saw them. It
Okay.
was he was like a singles guy, pretty much.
Gotcha.
But she would usually they're married, so she would always wrestle the same events. Usually, she would do like the women's match or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's why I knew him from. So that's why it confused me with his name because he used to be called something completely different. But that's how I found out about the Young Bucks was this 2CW that was around me because I went to see the Dudleys wrestle and they wrestled the Dudleys. And I went to see the Dudleys because when I was growing up watching wrestling, like I loved the Dudleys and the Hardy Boys and Edge and Christian. Those were like my people.
Yeah. I mean, everybody, because we're around the same age. And,
yeah.
That was it. That was the shit.
Yeah.
If you had a friend, because tell me if I'm wrong here. If you had a friend and you loved one of those tag teams, and you always relate yourself, like you either love the Dudleys, you love the Hardys or Edge and Christian. Like you always thought one of them were the best.
Yes.
And 90% of them were always loving the Dudleys or Edge and or the Hardys.
Yeah.
Edge and Christian were the actual heels.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like
they always won.
Well, yeah, because they always fucking won. But that was the point: is you wanted the Dudleys or the Hardys, which were the less refined of the three, to beat them. And that was what was so fucking cool about it. Like now, I'm like, I have so much more respect for Edge and Christian, but I fucking hated them.
Yeah,
I hated them.
I was like,
I hated
the
the
5-second
pose. I hated the concerto. I was like, dude, no, what the fuck? Oh man. But like, the Dudleys coming back is what got me into wrestling. Back into wrestling. The Dudleys.
Really?
The Dudleys invading when the New Day were celebrating and all that. I was like, dude, who's the New Day? The Dudleys are back. I saw the YouTube clip and I was like, I consumed everything.
You know what got me back to wrestling?
What?
CM Punk.
Really?
Yeah, because I watched wrestling when I was like a kid, like Hardy Boy era, stuff like that. And then I don't know. I was a teenager, so I stopped watching. I don't really remember why.
Cut it off. Yeah,
I have no idea. I just grew out of it. I don't know.
Yep.
And then I heard about a straight edge wrestler. So I watched his documentary And I was like, holy fuck, this is so cool. And that got me back into WWE. And then as soon as that happened, a bunch of my friends who went to shows, they're like, yo, check this shit out. And he showed me like PWG and Ring of
Yeah.
Honor and New Japan. And then he's the one who's like, oh, dude, you can come see this person wrestle down the fucking street. And I'm like, I can see the Dudleys wrestle 10 minutes away from my house. I was like, what? Okay. And that's when I saw the Young Bucks wrestle that night. I saw the world's cutest tag team wrestle that night. I saw Johnny Gargano wrestle that night. These are
No
all people I had
shit.
no
Wow.
idea who they were. And I was like, these guys are fucking amazing. I was like, this is crazy. So then I would go see, dude, I just need to tell you the lineup for their last show because it was the craziest shit ever. So their last show, they did 2 shows in one. They did a full card, took like an
Yeah.
hour break, and then did another card.
Yeah.
And it was in like a 250 cap like Legion. So
Yeah.
packed. It sold out like
Yeah.
instantly.
Holy shit.
Me and my friends bought like the second or front row tickets.
Yeah.
But the Young Bucks wrestled twice. They teamed with AJ Styles once in a trios match, and then later they teamed with Kenny Omega in the same
Dude.
night. In the same night, and they were tag champs there forever.
Yeah.
Dalton Castle was. Oh no, Dalton Castle wrestled Sami Callihan because one of Sami Callihan's first returns when he left NXT. He showed up at a show I was at, Lights Go Black, and he shows up and he won the 2CW title.
That's sick.
So I saw him wrestle Dalton Castle like twice, and it was like the rise of Dalton Castle in Ring of Honor because he's from like Albany, so he's from like right where I'm from. So he was like a local guy who made it like big.
Yeah.
Super sick. Roddy wrestled that night. Like, I'm trying to think of who else. The people they got was just nuts. The night that Sami Callihan came and won the title, the main event was John Morrison versus Johnny Gargano versus Matt Cross. Like,
that's sick.
It's the triple threat of them like killing each other.
Holy crap!
It ended with them stone colding Waters in the ring. It was sick,
dude.
Like, the amount of shit I saw in that company was. I didn't end up going, but Samoa Joe wrestled there before he went to NXT when he left TNA. I'm bummed I missed that, but that was like one of his only like indie appearances.
You know who I'm jealous of?
Crazy. Who?
You know who I'm jealous of is one of the old guitar players for KO, City. He was in a band called Planet Prosper before, and he's from New York City. He used to go to all the House of Glory shows where Private Party's from. So he was like, yeah, dude, I used to see the Amazing Red. I saw Private Party versus the Young Bucks a couple times, and I was like, that's so fucking sick. Because he's like, yeah, he said that's like a couple minutes from like where I live, and I was like, dude, you are the luckiest person because like down here. I got to see a couple indie shows. Like I got to see like Sue Young versus Sami Callihan. Because I'm 2 hours from Gainesville, which is where Fest is. And like
they had like a ton of wrestling shit during that, right?
Yes, yeah, dude. And like I saw Joey Ryan against like 3 women and do all this stuff. And like now I know it's kind of like Joey Ryan's. When I saw it, I was like, I thought I was like, oh man, this is cool. But when I saw it in person, I was like, this is a little fucked up. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, and I was like, maybe I'm not really gonna like support it. I had a shirt and I sold it online because it was like it was like big in Japan, like it was dick and all that. And as soon as as soon as it came out, I sold it. Hey, somebody bought it for like $30, but I'm like, you know what, I ain't wearing that anymore. It's not my thing. But and I got to see like that and like Georgia stuff, but like the only like big old like school wrestlers. This is super, super sad because it's only like 3 years ago, and he's on his way out. But I saw Sabu in Adel, Georgia, in this like. This like gym, but like it wasn't like a good show. It was a terrible show, like a terrible indie wrestling show. I'm in this no AC fucking bumfuck like gym in Adel, Georgia, which is like population size of like 4,000 people. People drove for like an hour or two to get Sabu. Sabu is like dude, I paid $20. I got him to sign something. It was cool. I got a little 8x10, get that signed too. Took a picture with him for another 20. I'm a mark, so I spent $40, right? The dude is like at the merch table all night. He does a match with the local guy. 2.5 minute match. Just a couple chair shots, does his move, pins him, walks out. That's it. And I was like, oh, this was a cash grab like a motherfucker. I was like, dude, I came here to watch Sabu wrestle. 2 minutes, all its chairs, no leg drop, no Arabian, nothing. Just chair shot, fucking leg drop on the chair to win the match, called it. And I was like, oh, this is
Yeah,
wrestling.
I've
Like,
had a
you know what
few
I mean?
friends. I think he wrestled 2CW, and I was just like, whatever. Like, I don't care because
Yeah,
all I've heard from my friends who were like hardcore Sabu fans back in the day, and they're like,
yeah,
yeah, I watched him wrestle a couple years ago. It was terrible, and I'm like, I don't want to. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to. That
yeah,
sucks to see. Like, I don't want to see that.
yeah.
Oh, I forgot. Okay, so this company also the first champion was Spike Dudley, and Spike
Holy shit.
Dudley wrestled a hardcore match at the same night where like the Young Bucks wrestled and shit. It was
Okay,
nuts. I think that was the
that's
main event,
insane.
and it was crazy.
That's insane.
Because I got into it more when it's kind of started getting popular because they started bringing in bigger names. But
Yeah.
dude, Kevin Steen was their champion. Brody
Oh,
Lee was their champion. Kevin Steen
that's
was like
sick.
tag champ there too and shit. Like they had big names, but it was before wrestling was like as popular. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Um, but yeah, like so I really didn't know about like the full history of the company.
yeah.
And like Spike Dudley comes out, and I was like, "Whoa, this is crazy!" And they're like, "Yeah, you know, he was our first champion." Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, "This is nuts!" And he put on a fucking entertaining ass
Yeah.
match. Like it was super cool to see. Like
That's so fucking
I was
sick.
lucky to have the like company around here. They ended up just they were supposed to do like a reunion show,
Mm,
and I think they'll still end up doing it once things like that can happen. But
yeah.
I'm kind of wondering if like they can pull some cards to like get some of like AEW people in or something because I don't know if because they were super tight
That'd
with the
be
Young Bucks and stuff like that. Like I said, the Young Bucks were their tag like they didn't even defend the tag titles at the last couple shows because they did like the trios matches and shit.
yeah.
So I don't
That'd be
I don't
really
know.
fucking cool because like I know one of the things that was so cool when like circling back to like when AEW first started is before they started doing Dynamite, the TV, they did a couple of the pay-per-views. Like they had
Pay-per-views, yeah,
Double or
yeah.
Nothing, they had All In, or I think it was All Out or whatever.
Then they had
But
like the
like
Fighter Fest and
yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
And that was really fucking cool. But like what's crazy and they had something for the Fallen in Jacksonville for
Oh yeah,
the
Fight for
shooting
the
victims.
Fallen. Yeah,
Fight for the
yeah.
Fallen. And what was cool though is while that was happening, they were also doing like indie dates, like you said.
Oh right,
Like
yep, yep. To hype shit
like
up.
yeah, Moxley was like wrestling like fucking Darby Allin and like Pentagon Jr. and stuff like that. And like,
Oh yeah, that was before we even
I
knew
would
Moxley was coming back because he showed
yeah,
up in
like
Double or Nothing, and everyone's like, "Fuck!" Like everyone kind of like was hoping it would happen, and then he
yeah.
shows up at the end, and we're all like, "Fuck!"
Yeah, I like because I wasn't like I had gotten to I watched CM all the CM Punk stuff on the on the
Like,
network. So like
right?
I didn't
Yeah,
know
yeah.
anything about the Shield when that first started. So like I thought they were cool, but I didn't like thought they were cool back then. But it's like out
Gotcha.
of all three, I liked Dean the most. And then when I saw Moxley, I was like, oh, this is like him not being WWE like. And I was like, all right,
Yeah.
I'm with it. Let's fucking rock. Let me dive into it. And that was super sick. Like starting the feud with Kenny Omega. I was really glad, and I feel like everybody probably should be, but some people are like, man, it sucks that a young guy like Hangman didn't win the belt. And I'm like, dude, for what they're trying to do, you need to have somebody like Jericho be the first guy win the fucking title,
100%.
and Moxley. Like,
That
can't have
loss
some random
made Hangman a star.
dude. Everything they're doing right now, like this is the bet. Like the Hangman Kenny story, or just
So
Hangman's
sick.
like redemption arc, is the longest storytelling that's still going on in wrestling to me, in my opinion.
Well, dude, the whole Kenny Bucks thing is all stemming off shit that happened in Ring of Honor in New Japan.
Yeah,
Like obviously when they did the Hangman Omega match with the Bucks, like they had callbacks to the Bucks and Golden Lovers shit. Like them doing the BTE
yeah,
trigger is literally their the Golden Lovers finisher and shit. Like
yep,
like they're still doing stuff and like obviously Omega did the fucking Rainmaker pose. He did the Rainmaker his Rainmaker knee instead of the
yeah,
Rainmaker clothesline and like the gear he was wearing like referenced Ibushi and shit like that. Like
yeah.
they are planting shit that's like MCU level like Easter egg
Yeah,
shit. You know what I mean? Like
because like
it's
I think
crazy.
yeah, I think like while they're probably trying to do all the like the legal talks and all this other stuff with it, they want to do and reward like they want to have the common person attract to Dynamite, but they
Of course.
want the heavy duty marks like ourselves to look at that shit and know like like we're rewarding you for this. It's the most fan service out of wrestling can
Yeah.
get on like a television show. Like I mean the tag match they did, I forgot who it was with. Not the one with FTR. That was fucking sick. But where they did all the classic finishers and all that stuff, which
Yeah,
was
they
really
did like the
cool.
DIY finisher and like they did like the heart attack.
Yeah, and that's what I liked so much was that the FTR did all like the 80s, like the
Yeah.
80s throwbacks, like the Heart Attack, the Doomsday Device, and then the Bucks did all like the new school, like Hardy stuff, Dudley stuff. And it was so funny though, somebody was like, "Oh man, they're burying the finishers." Well, it's like it's because those people aren't doing it. If the
Yeah.
Hart Foundation did the Heart Attack, if the Dudleys did the 3D, if the Hardys did that, then that's why they did that. But it's not them; it's just paying homage. And I was like, it was fucking cool
Yeah.
as shit to me, in my opinion.
Yeah. And like
Um,
and fucking FTR doing the DIY finish was, I was like, as soon as they did the hands, I was like, no
no way.
way.
Yeah.
Dude, I was like, the only thing that bummed me out about that match is that there was no crowd, because I think
Yeah.
that's the only, like, I think that match was fucking perfect. Comparing it to the Bucks and Hangman match is a little unfair because that had a
Yeah.
crowd. Because you, like, AEW fans are like the craziest like wrestling fans. They fucking go
Yeah.
nuts. So that place would have been fucking, like, the roof would have been blown off that fucking place with
Yeah,
that
like
match.
that venue, like I live 2 hours from there and I really want to go, like super bad.
Oh,
And I plan to very, very shortly. Very, very shortly. But like that venue is like I think 12 or 13,000 cap venue.
yeah,
And the fact that and yeah, they'll spread 1,000 people around it, but
yeah.
1,000 people in a 12,000 cap room,
Not a lot.
it's not gonna sound it's not
It's
gonna
like
sound
it's
loud.
like 10 people in a club that when you
Yeah.
go to see a local band. That's like the
Yeah.
accurate comparison.
No, it's like when us and KO played at the door like 3 or 4 years ago, and it's a 1,000 cap room. There's 40 paid, and I'm like, y'all can come up,
Ouch.
dude. But like, man, it was just one of those things where like, you know, they're doing the best, in my opinion. AEW is doing the best job of wrestling without a crowd, and there is a crowd still.
I
There's
agree
a
too.
level of it,
Yeah.
but like, I love Impact, but it's hard for me to stomach Impact right now
It's weird.
because it's in a dark room and it looks like it's like a soap opera almost. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
It looks like a wrestling show in like someone's bedroom, kind of. You
Exactly.
know what I mean? You're like, okay. Because I haven't watched in a while, but sometimes I listen to post wrestling's like Dynamite recaps.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll do it for like the Impact pay-per-views and stuff. So sometimes I'll
Mhm.
listen to them just to see what's going on. And it, like, I can condense a 3-hour show into an hour and just listen to what happened. You know what I mean? And still get like the impact of what happened.
Yeah. The only thing I really like, I like Impact, is I like Rich Swann a lot.
Yeah, Rich Swann is
I like
sick.
I like Eric Young, and then I like the Good Brothers in the North, and now the Motor City Machine Guns. Like
The North is so fucking good.
all three of those teams, because like when FTR came to AEW, they said they want to wrestle the North, they want to wrestle these people, they want to wrestle these people, and that's why I was like, eventually, I hope this happens. And we're obviously going to get to all that stuff, but like circling back, AEW did such a good job with not only bringing in really good singles competitors, but the tag teams that AEW started with and still are doing right now
Stacked.
is just like, I love tag team wrestling. I think every young kid loved tag team wrestling because there's more people to watch at the same time, you know? And so like, we had our, Hardy's, Dudley's, Edge and Christian moments, and WWE never was able to replicate that for the next generation.
No,
You
not
know?
really. There were some like
You know,
classics with like the New Days and Usos and stuff
yeah,
like
but,
that. Like
yeah,
NXT, I think NXT did.
yeah,
Because
but
they had like
that's
FTR and American Alpha, like FTR and DIY,
yeah. But what sucks is
shit
when they
like
get called
that.
up to the main roster, what happens to them?
Lost.
You know what I mean?
Like
It's
lost
so
in
and
obscurity.
it's so sad because you have major level pay-per-view shows.
Yeah,
You have WrestleMania events, and it's like, why can't a tag team fucking main event that? Why can't like
for
you had the
real.
Revival and DIY who had some of the best fucking matches, period. Yet when they go to the main roster, nothing happened. They're like, oh well, they can't get over on TV. That's clearly bullshit. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
for real.
Like it's so sad, and like that's what I was so stoked about AEW was like, you mean to tell me I'm gonna have the Young Bucks and the Lucha Brothers and a new guy, like new teams like Private Party all together? Like, dude, this is sick as fuck.
Yeah.
And it's just like seeing, it's like the Avengers. You know what I mean? Like you have all
Yeah,
these people
dude.
from different walks of life in different parts of like wrestling. You have like the grizzled veterans like Cody and Dustin Rhodes and all that, and then you have like all these younger people, and I'm like, this is the coolest shit ever. And so far in an entire year, I've fallen in love with it.
Oh, dude, same. The only thing with having such a stacked tag team roster is that we almost haven't seen like the full potential of like LAX, of like even the Lucha Brothers, because I fell in love with the Lucha. Well, they didn't tag in this, but I watched Lucha Underground when it was a thing.
Then yeah, fucking Phoenix, and I mean, Pentagon's thing with Vampiro
Oof.
was the coolest shit I've seen in a while.
Dude,
That was nuts.
I love that you watched it because I feel like no one watched Lucha Underground. So I love when I find people who actually watched it because
Yeah,
that was before like AEW. That was my, or even when NXT was like hot as fuck around that. Like Lucha Underground was my favorite wrestling show on TV. I was like, that's the best wrestling show on TV because all the storylines were fucking crazy as fuck. Like
that
it was
was
awesome.
Yeah. The only, and what's crazy is like I loved it and I was super attached to it. And what's funny now though is when I listen to podcasts of people that were on it, they paid them like nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, and they put them in really shitty contracts and stuff.
Like, and they were screwed. And it's so sad because I thought Lucha Underground was gonna be like not anywhere close to what AEW is, but it's like it's a good alternative to WWE. And Mil Muertes was so fucking cool.
Dude, he's showing up in MLW.
Oh, no shit.
They're teasing it, I guess. Post Wrestling talked about it, so I looked it up and I was like, "Yo, that's sick." I love.
He was a bad, like the first season, like he was the bad motherfucker. Then you had Matanza, which is Jeff Cobb and all that, but like, and I got excited because that was like Prince Puma with Ricochet,
Yeah.
And it's like it's so
Best
sad
version
because
of Ricochet.
Yeah, it's so sad because like when I saw Ricochet going into NXT, I was like, "This is sick." And then when he got to the main roster, I'm like, "Please, for the love of God, don't fuck this up." And clearly, they have ruined him to the point where he has no credibility. Nobody cares about anything he does, dude. And it sucks.
Like, the biggest part of Ricochet, which sucks because he's like the most charismatic dude ever, but you can't just be the smiley guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't just be like NXT has done a good job of making some people like stars that they never were before. Like Aleister Black was cooler than Tommy End ever was.
100%.
What I mean? Like
100%.
And shit like that. Like they've proven that they can do shit and make people like even Johnny Gargano. Like they made Ciampa like the biggest psycho ever. Like he had no entrance music and people just booed him. Like
I never knew who he was. I never knew who he was, and I thought that he was just a bad motherfucker.
I only knew about him because of PWG. Like I'd watch PWG, and he wrestled PWG a lot, and that's it. He had like a stint with Ring of Honor, but it was like a while. I've never seen any of his Ring of Honor stuff. But they call him the Psycho Killer in PWG.
Yeah. And like what was really cool about that, like kind of circling back with the beginning, I also knew there was a lot of people that put on like not WWE style matches, but like really good storytelling matches. Like Pentagon, when I saw that Pentagon was in that, I was like, all right, because Pentagon Jr. to me is one of the hands down best people in wrestling right now.
Yeah, like dude, so good.
He is so fucking good, and I mean, I know that obviously they're doing the Lucha Brothers as a tag, but I was like, put him in a singles match with anybody, and he's gonna fucking crush it. And like, and then what's funny is throughout this year though, there's been like breakout people. Like I think Darby Allin's cool, but to me. And this is because I love all the like the grindy, hardworking guys. I think the shining light of this entire year is Eddie fucking Kingston.
Dude, he is definitely like one of the biggest surprises because wasn't familiar with him at all.
Me neither.
And then he came in, and I was like, "Yo, this dude is legit. Like, this guy can fucking talk. Like, obviously, he's not like the greatest in-ring wrestler or whatever, but that dude tells a fucking story like no other." Because that was my biggest like kind of bummer about Moxley's like title reign is there wasn't a lot of story.
Competitors.
It was kind of just like the next guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was like the next mountain for him to conquer. You know what I mean? But like,
like him versus Lance Archer, I did not care. And I with all due respect, I know Lance
Archer. And they do have like, and it sucks. They have a backstory with that. They wrestled in New Japan, and they tried to bring that in, and the match was cool. But I liked his matches with Brody Lee a lot better. But there was no story with that either. He just came and he's like, I want to be the champion. But like. It sucks. Like
like I'm a AEW stan, but we can both agree where like some part. And granted, I know there is a pandemic. He has been the champion pretty much it was like what February, February. So like he did not have the chance to be a champion in front of a crowd for a while. So they're doing the best they can. But it's like there's that Eddie Kingston versus Moxley was the best match of his AEW run. Period.
It was such a good story.
And I knew Eddie wasn't winning. I wanted him to win.
I had as soon as I had a glimmer of hope that he would, I didn't know if they were going to throw us a curveball with the tournament because everyone was like, oh, it's going to be Omega and Page. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh, he's facing Wardlow. He can lose to Wardlow,
Yeah.
and that kind of adds to it a little or something.
Yeah.
Like, oh, maybe MJF helps him win or something. Like, they've thrown us surprises,
Yeah.
like Young Bucks losing a private party,
Losing a private party. Yep. Yep.
like sometimes they do throw us those surprises, which is cool. It's good to feel surprised in wrestling, because it's the thing that's so hard with pop culture in general and the internet, is that everything gets fucking leaked.
Yeah, we knew what almost 90% of all the Marvel and Star Wars stuff was, before it came out. And with wrestling, like, people leak it all the time. There's a couple things we'll obviously talk about with AEW this whole year where, like, you were very surprised. Like, I was surprised, like, obviously they telegraphed the MJF heel turn with Cody, which is, we all knew that, it's cool as fuck.
Yeah.
What I was completely surprised about was the switch, which they even admitted it was a bait and switch, with when Matt Hardy and Brody Lee came out the same night, like the week after the pandemic hit.
Saddest thing about that, where that show was supposed to be?
It was in New York, right? It was Brody Lee's hometown, right?
I had tickets.
No shit.
Yeah.
Damn,
dude. Yeah, like me and a couple of my friends, like a ton of, like, pretty much anyone in upstate New York that liked wrestling.
Yeah.
We may have not been staying together, but we were all going to go there.
Mhm.
So we were like watching it, and because we were like, Brody Lee's going to show up, because that was the big Dark Order reveal.
Yeah.
And we're like, they were pointing to, it's either Brody Lee or Matt Hardy, but they kind of were like pushing Matt Hardy harder to bait and switch, like you said. So when Brody Lee, I was like, I feel like Brody Lee is going to debut anyway. It's his home fucking town. Like, people will lose their fucking minds. Like he hasn't shown up anywhere since WWE. Like, people will fucking go crazy. So I was like, I can't fucking wait. Like, we're going to the show where the fucking leader of the Dark Order is getting revealed. That's so fucking sick. And then Brody Lee came out, and I was like, that's so cool, but I'm so bummed. And then when Matt Hardy came out at the end, I was like, no. I was like, I was supposed to be there.
Yeah, dude. Like, I was like so fucking just, I don't want to say that they were devastated, because with the pandemic hitting, I was trying to, like, just make sure, like, all right, how the fuck am I going to make money? What am I supposed to do? But at the same time, I'm like, my entertainment's gone. Like, I have no idea what to do. Like, the first month that I was clutching on to AEW and, like, other things, just to, like, this is my semblance of my routine, because my routine was fucked. Like,
oh yeah, same.
We had an office that I was working in that was like, there's only a couple people in the office, but it could fit 25. We had a high overhead and all this other stuff. So we were moving out of the office. So I was going into work from home. I've worked from home like a couple years ago, but it wasn't like this, what I'm doing now.
Right.
And so, like, I was clinging to anything of normalcy, like movie releases, TV shows, like anything that's like constant. So I don't have to fucking concentrate on anything else. It's like me and my fiance were just watching all types of shit, but obviously she fucking hates wrestling. So it's like, this is my
wife
man
hates
cave
wrestling too.
Dude. And I'm like, if you just try, and I'm like, she granted, I showed her stuff, and it's like, buddy, see, I know all the backstory. So it's like,
yeah,
it's hard. It's hard, but I fucking love it.
One time she sat down, she's like, why do you like wrestling? And I was like, okay. I was like, let me break it down for you. I was like, it's a sport, but there's story with it, like real story. I was like, it's a drama with sport. I was like, I love drama shit. If it's a TV show, movie, like, I love that shit, man. Like, so I was like, it's that with people beating the fuck out of each other. I was like, I don't know. I just like it. It's cool to me. I don't know. And she's like, okay, all right.
Yeah, like she'll respect it, but it's like, if I'm watching it, and she will just be like, I'm gonna go to the living room, like, it's like, because I'm getting hype, like, watching certain matches and shit like that. And like, the one thing that I will be I wouldn't say very negative person about, and they picked it up a little bit, is they were supposed to be like, we're gonna change women's wrestling.
Definitely have not.
In my opinion, it's not. They haven't changed it. Like, I know the matches are good, but in terms of, like, the star power that they had in the beginning, it was very lackluster from what people were expecting. But then again, WWE, to be honest with you, like, they kept all the women wrestlers. They didn't fire a single one.
Them in TNA, like, TNA has like a stacked women's division, and they picked up even more. Like, I was almost,
that's what I was hoping them.
I was almost bummed they picked up all those people that AEW should have picked up. Like Tiana Perazzo. And like Emma, what's her name?
Oh yeah, the
now?
chick that plays Emma. I forgot her name. Yeah, she's fucking
Tennille
sick.
Dashwood, I think.
Yes.
Like, they picked her up, and shit like that, and they're it seems like they're picking up like Thunder Rosa and Allison Kay,
Evilise, yeah.
and it seems like Allison Kay is coming in too because they both like are on the outs with NWA and stuff like that. Which those are huge pickups because Thunder Rosa was in Lucha Underground, which is tight. And all of her stuff, it's crazy because like that's what like a lot of people are saying. It's like the NWA stuff has been like more like story driven or more interesting than the women's champion stuff.
Yeah, like and being I don't care. So it's like I thought Nyla Rose was really cool. And I like that they didn't push the fact that she was trans.
Yeah.
Like, they just let it be natural, which is what they should. I hate.
They're like she is, but we're not going to beat you over the head with it.
Which is what I was hoping because it doesn't do anything for her character, and it's like this is more of just what it should be. It should be just a normal thing.
Yeah.
So I was really happy about that, and I thought I did like the media push around her though, which was really cool because I love that they were showcasing it. But in the actual AEW storyline, I'm glad they didn't do like you're a man, you're not, because that would
fucked up.
That would that's what I was like. Please don't do this because this is going to completely kill y'all, and I'm gonna be pissed off about it.
Yeah.
So I'm happy they did that, but just like Hikaru Shida was cool. But the thing is though, they focused so much on the Japanese wrestlers that when the pandemic hit, they're all gone.
Besides
so, like,
Shida.
Yeah, so like Riho and Yuka Sakazaki and the older ones, like all the older like Japanese wrestlers, women wrestlers that were like the ones that were mentoring them that were gonna be fucking badass. They're all shipped. They were all done. So it's like, I feel like they haven't had a fair shot. But I can't say that in a we're 9 months into the pandemic now. At this point, that's the one thing that AEW lacks in, and I know they're trying to build it up. And I think with obviously the potential merger we're gonna talk about, if they could swap wrestlers or like have some people show up, give me some of the knockouts in AEW, and I feel like that will boost so much their women's health. Like just a couple matches, fucking do something better than what you're doing right now, because I feel like you're not giving them a shot.
Yeah, I agree. Like I'm not like AEW's pretty much the only wrestling I watch now, but I'm not gonna say it's like perfect. It entertains me. There's some stuff that I'm like, oh, whatever, but like it's kind of with anything, it's they're not there to totally please you, and obviously there's like limitations with stuff as well that plays into it that we know nothing about. So it's like, I don't know. I just find it hard when people complain about anything and they're like, oh, like I hated that, unless it's something that's like it's so stupid and bad that's like understandable, but like not everything is catered to you as an individual. You know what I mean? There's been things where people like, obviously, like I have like some wrestling groups or like wrestling group chats where we'll talk about whatever's going on, and some of us will be like, yeah, I didn't like that, and the other people will be like, oh, I really did. It's like that's the beauty of people. Everyone has different opinions and shit. So it's like I do agree, like they have a lot of room to grow, and I hope they get there because everything else is like pretty spot on
amazing
as far as storytelling. The only thing that they're kind of running into, I don't even think this is an actual problem, is that they have either so many like who are already stars, and like obviously like Orange Cassidy was a huge breakout, Darby was a huge breakout, Eddie Kingston, Ricky Starks, people like that have like had this awesome platform to become, even Sammy Guevara. Like, who the fuck knew Sammy Guevara was before this?
He's I never heard of him, dude, and I'm like, this guy's a bad motherfucker. Like, I love the inner circle shit. I feel like Jericho did a really good job with building that, and I know like in a bunch of podcasts they said they wanted MJF, but Cody was like, no, we have the whole plan. I mean, MJF, the dude's like 20 plus years old, super fucking young, and does better heel work than almost anybody. And I'm like,
best heel in wrestling.
It's insane, and I fucking hate him, but that's the point, and that's why I love him so much.
You're supposed to hate him,
And like my favorite, like Eddie Kingston to me is like my favorite like breakout star, but it's like I think MJF since in AEW is like, this is the guy that if he's on the TV, I'm glued to him, and that's what is supposed to happen. And like the thing that he was fucking doing, he did something where it's like, I think it wasn't a Jericho thing. It was he was wrestling somebody and he beat him, but it was like an older guy, and I forgot who it was. I think it was Cody, and he was like, I'm gonna be here for the next 25 years. Right. And I did the math, and it's like he's only going to be 49, which means he actually could be here for 25 years. And I was like, and this guy's this fucking good now. Like he's going to be Ric Flair level, like and that's what was so fucking sick to me. What's like been some of your like favorite matches, though?
I really loved the Omega Moxley hardcore match. That shit was nuts.
I wasn't expecting that.
I didn't think they'd go that far, and
No.
they went that far. That's why I guess almost every other hardcore match that Moxley did after was almost
It's
like a letdown. The
it's
Archer
lackluster.
one, the Archer one was cool because they like called back to some of the hardcore match stuff they did in New Japan, and they still got a little brutal. But like the Hager one, I kind of envisioned that one being crazier, I guess.
Yeah.
And even the Kingston one, I thought was going to go an extra step.
Yeah.
They did some wild shit, but I kind of thought they were going to go further than they did, which was my only kind of criticism of it. Omega and Page was awesome.
Kingston's gear was dedicated to Misawa that night.
Oh, yep. I think someone mentioned that or whatever, and I was like, oh, that's so fucking tight.
Yeah, I love that.
Obviously, like the Bucks Hangman tag match is like one of the best tag matches probably ever. FTR and the Bucks was amazing. Even like Moxley and Jericho was super cool. The build was awesome. The reveal of him not really being blinded was sick.
Looking like fucking Solid Snake.
Yeah,
like
dude.
that was like a cool little gimmick.
I loved eye patch Moxley was tight.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, LAX versus the Best Friends parking lot brawl was fucking nuts.
If you weren't gonna say that, I was gonna say, I was like, dude, on TV, like to get that match on TV, like for free,
crazy.
is the coolest shit. Like I have Sling TV, which is like just I pay for that just to watch AEW. So I pay $35 a month to watch AEW.
Oh yeah, we have Hulu TV, so it's like similar.
Oh okay, cool. But like, man, like that on TV was nuts, and like, dude, what they've been doing now, like with Winter is Coming, that was fucking TV that we got to see all that on.
Dude, speaking of surprises, Sting debuting, definitely did not see that fucking coming, dude. I don't know what he's going to do in what capacity. I don't think he's going to really wrestle that much. At least I hope not, because he's fucking ancient. But like, Sting on TNT with Tony Schiavone saying it's Sting. Now, I'm not saying like I was a huge WCW fan or anything when I was a kid, but like me knowing the relevance of that, like that is so fucking cool. And even him last week with him, like them hugging each other, I was like, man, that was cool. Like
he's 61 years old. I hope to God he doesn't wrestle. But
if he does a tag match, I'll be
let him do a run-in. That's what I feel like they're gonna do. Is they're gonna keep him around as like an on-screen character like Arn Anderson or something like that. But let him do a Scorpion Death Drop. Let him do the moves. Let him come in with the bat and pass the torch. Because like, I want to talk about Winter's Coming, period, because I think that was such a crazy ass show. Yeah. But talking about the Sting debut, like, that dude did more storytelling than WWE did in 2.5, 3 months, because he comes out fucking slow as shit. It's like 6 minutes, but that walkout gave people time to post on Twitter and have all these people that used to love wrestling to look at the fucking screen.
Yeah, did a million plus people,
which was so fucking sick. And like, he looks at Arn Anderson, and there's so much fucking story between him and all the Four Horsemen and stuff. Looks at fucking Cody and like almost is like had that emotional thing, like, your father meant everything to me. Yeah. And then if I was Darby Allin, I would know like my career just got a shot of fucking adrenaline in 5 seconds.
Straight up.
You know what I mean? Like you can't push somebody harder than what they just did with Sting and Darby Allin.
Yeah. So I'm hoping it's like a mentor kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Like he is the Taz to Darby Allin. Like even if they make some weird like Crow type fucking group,
give it to me. Dude, I'll take it, dude.
So down.
I'll take it because Darby Allin's cool as shit. It's just that
so cool.
I will say one thing about him, and it's because like I know he's younger and all that, but it's like he's a little bit of an edgelord, if that makes sense. Like he's too dark and like mysterious, you know what I mean? In my opinion. I love the backstory behind it.
His videos can be a little much. I like the one this week because it had like, I'm cool with like the style he does it like in black and white, and the fact that he like does it by himself with his friends is super cool. But like, don't do them for like weird for the sake of being weird. Do them weird with the sake of forwarding the storytelling. That's my issue with it. It's like him. Well, like even the Jackass stuff was kind of funny, they had that one with Johnny Knoxville and like the one with Tony Hawk. That stuff's just like cool. Like, oh, Tony Hawk is on my TV. Like that's tight. But like like you did this week, like add some stuff to further things that are happening.
Yeah.
And then I'm like,
He produced
fuck
that
yeah.
whole ink blot thing. That was the coolest fucking thing. Like
Yeah, it was
he's just doing that shit in
sick.
Georgia.
Yeah, just by like him and his friends. Like that is sick. Do more shit like that. Do your videos, but have it mean something. Not just like, hey, I'm a weird dark dude in a church and something's on fire. Like
Exactly.
cool, but like you're obviously a creative dude. Add to the story. Like, and he obviously proved it last week. Like,
Yeah.
If he does more stuff like that, like then I'll be stoked because that dude is incredible in the ring. He's so fucking fast. He's the perfect underdog.
Yeah,
like,
and that's like he's the next, with all due respect to him, but the next coming of like a Daniel Bryan sort of character where it's like, you're gonna expect him to get the shit beat out of him 85% of the time, but the comebacks he does and everything, it's just the only negative thing is what we can see, in my opinion, is that the dude takes hella bumps, and if he gets injured, he's fucked. Like I'm like, dude, because like he's what 150, 160 soaking wet maybe, and it's like,
dude's small.
You fall off that thing, you're fucking, you're hurt. But like, it's crazy. And he's straight edge too, so he doesn't take any painkillers, any some of that. So it's like, dude, I don't know, whatever.
The only thing I knew about him before AEW is that a clip went viral of him getting thrown in. I think they redid the spot in AEW at some point, but he got thrown into a pole, like, and it went viral. Like just and it wasn't like a ring post. It was like a beam in the middle of a building, and like, he got thrown like out of the ring into it. And that's the only reason I ever heard his name, because everyone's like, this dude is a psychopath.
Because they did the body bag. They did the body bag into the pole thing, and so this is super random. And maybe, are you a Converge fan?
Like, I love their like aesthetic, and like the artwork like is so fucking sick. But
I like their live show. I don't listen to their music a lot.
Something about their vocals, I just can't do it. I don't know.
I like everything about them.
Yeah,
but I'm not an active listener. But I remember seeing them one time, and the reason why Darby Allin relates to Converge so much for me is because the day that I saw Converge, Jacob Bannon fucking has a body bag on the stage, throws it into the fucking crowd right before this crazy ass breakdown thing they're doing, and says, "Fill it up." And as soon as I heard that, I was like, "This is the craziest thing I've heard." And then it always reminds me of like Darby Allin when he brought the body bag. He doesn't do it anymore, but the body bag thing with Darby Allin was one of the coolest fucking gimmicks I saw for a while.
So wild, dude. They kind of overdid it a little, but it was cool at first.
Yeah. One of the people that I was really excited about in the beginning, I don't know how you feel about him, but they've kind of like definitely had to like realize like, yo, we got to work on ourselves better, is the whole Jurassic Express team.
Dude, they are so good. Obviously, I know Luchasaurus from Lucha Underground. And that's funny because I listened to the Jericho podcast, and I didn't know that's how he actually got his name, because they kept just chanting Luchasaurus. Which
I never knew that either.
That's why I watched that. I was like, oh wow, that's pretty funny, because I remember them chanting like Luchasaurus. I was like, this dude is massive, but that dude can fucking go. So can Jungle Boy, and Jungle Boy is the same as MJF. He may not have the same like charisma, but like him in ring is incredible, and he's like the same age. He's like early 20s.
Yeah, not like he doesn't have the charisma yet as MJF, but dude, you give him some people around him. Let like a fucking Sting. Let a dude that's been a babyface. Like Sting is 99% of the time has been a babyface.
Yeah.
Let somebody like him talk to Darby and Jungle Boy, and in a couple years, they're gonna be like, their shirts are gonna be worn by 8-year-olds in Walmart. Okay,
dude, for real. Because like, dude, that MJF Jungle Boy match, I did not see that coming. Like a match like that from them, because I knew MJF was like pretty good, but after watching that match, I was like, whoa, like this dude is like legit the full package. And we kind of saw a little bit more of that in the Orange Cassidy match last week. It was like way more, he was wrestling, obviously Orange Cassidy is incredible, especially now that they've kind of let him off the leash a little bit.
Less of a gimmick and more of a wrestler. Like and that's the other thing too that I've liked about AEW so much, is they are trying to do their best, not to just blatantly put over the young guys, but like you wouldn't have WWE take Roman Reigns and let him lose to a young upstart like Orange Cassidy, but Jericho fucking put him over, like
twice.
Like nobody, like you should do that. Like the older guys, they have the star power no matter what.
Yeah.
But it's about putting the other ones over for them to get back up to the next level. And the fact that they did that with Orange Cassidy, and they're going to continuously do it, you're like, in my opinion, I think obviously Kenny's got the title right now.
Mhm.
Who should dethrone Kenny is Paige
Oh,
eventually,
for
but give
sure.
Kenny like 6 months or something like that. But it should go like Paige, MJF, and then Kingston or like Jungle Boy or something like.
Yeah.
But
It,
they
it
have
depends if
such
they
good
bring in
baby.
someone else new too, because who
Yeah.
knows who else they're going to bring in. Because well, actually, it's so interesting with Miro being in here now, and now they're starting because
Fuck, dude.
Tony Khan, because everyone was kind of like, what are they doing with him? You know, he's kind of
Yeah.
just in this weird thing.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, like this video game thing that everyone's like, what the fuck is this? And
I
but
mean,
now
yo,
they're like
they're
after
pushing
the
his Twitch. They're pushing his
which is
Twitch to the
tight.
fucking
Yeah,
moon. But
good for them. That's hilarious. Obviously, a complete dig at WWE, which I'm
yeah.
fine with. That's funny.
Yes.
But now they're like, oh, he's a fucking monster. Like he had
Oh,
an
dude.
insane showing in the Battle Royal. He came out and wrecked Orange Cassidy and everything like that. And Tony Khan pretty much said like, hey, he's going to get a push, but I didn't want to wait until January to sign
Yeah.
him. I wanted to sign him immediately. And I
Yeah,
was like,
and I'm okay with that.
So, but it's like, is he going to get a match against Omega and then Omega beats him? Like, obviously, that's not like a bad thing because it's Kenny Omega. Like,
Yeah. But
dude's like
like
the best wrestler of our generation. Like,
it's so funny though because like Miro, like he back in the WWE, he just wore like trunks and boots, and now you got this dude that's like a fucking hype beast.
that's how he is in real life, though.
Yeah, that's
You know?
that's what I love about it is you didn't expect it because when he came out, he had the shaved head. It was fucking he was just wearing like Gucci, and I was like, who? I was like, this is fucking Miro, but like, and then the fire came out of him. He got pumped up.
Yeah,
He did the
dude.
promo, and I'm like, I love seeing shit like that. It's just like watching, a band have like a a lash, not a lash show, but like a reunion show or something like that, where they have that fucking fire that they might not have had in a while or whatever. And it's the same thing when you see somebody like a Miro, like a Cody Rhodes or whatever, that for years they've been held down, and it's like this is my first chance to be myself, and they fucking take
Right.
advantage of that. You know, like
Or even like Moxley, you know what I mean? Like
fuck yeah,
that's what's
dude.
like. I know a lot of people's like criticism were like, oh, WWE guys held the belts for almost everything. You know what I mean? Like it was Jericho, then it was Moxley, Cody winning the TNT title. And I'm like, okay, I get it because whatever.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it's not the same character at
That's
all.
it's that, and also to be frank, where the fuck else are you supposed to get stars here? You have WWE, you
Right?
have the
Yeah.
Indies, and then you have like obviously like TNA, Ring of Honor, and all that. But it's like they're not getting rid of their people, so they're either gonna
No.
take from here or take from here,
Yeah.
and that's it. Like one of the biggest things that I was a big Bullet Club fan, still am,
Yeah.
but I wanted so badly for Carl Anderson and Gallows to go to AEW.
Dude, did you hear the
And if you
story?
listen to all their podcast stuff they
Yeah.
did with the Bucks,
Whew.
yes, what they planned on doing, what they planned on with AJ, dude. When I heard that, I was like, "This is the best thing ever." But of course,
with
it didn't
Kenny,
happen.
right?
I mean,
Were they supposed to be
yeah,
with
because
Kenny and
yeah, because it was gonna
turn
be
on the Bucks,
like,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because it was supposed to be like
Dude.
AJ and the Bucks came out. They're gonna do that, and they were gonna fucking turn on him, and it was gonna be the first episode of Dynamite.
Dynamite, yeah,
You know,
which is
you
nuts.
know?
I heard that and I was like, no way.
Yeah, it
And they were
hurt, but
like,
then you like.
I love them saying like, yeah, we're idiots. We know we're stupid.
Yeah, because like, did you? And that was one thing about them though too. Like they got themselves over so much since the pandemic started because of all the talking shop stuff. Like I
Oh yeah,
waited
dude.
and stayed up for that interview they did with Ryan Satine because they just fucking.
Oh,
You want to talk about no kayfabe, nothing? They exposed everybody. They buried Paul Heyman. They talked about all
everyone, dude.
that shit, and they fucking honestly just look, just pulled the money truck up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They're older guys. They
dude.
have families. Like fucking Carl Anderson's got like 8 fucking kids, and so he's like, "Hey, look, when I'm staring 2 million in the face,
It's got 8
what am
fucking
I
kids.
supposed to do?" And then they get let go. Like, yeah, he actually has like 4, I think, but still, like, dude, I fucking love all those guys, but now because of, and we haven't even talked about that yet, but fuck, man, I just want to say it. Give me, even if it's just on TV one time, the somewhat original Bullet Club reuniting. Just give me the Bucks and the Good Brothers on the same screen one time.
Dude,
and
that's
I'd be
what
happy with it.
going in a little into the Kenny stuff with like this TNA shit.
Yeah.
That is my hope, because they haven't really revealed who attacked Moxley.
No.
Everyone's kind of
Yeah.
assuming it was Kenny somehow, even though Kenny was in the ring or whatever. Like, oh, did you do it beforehand or whatever? But my hope is that it was Gallows and Anderson, and that he's going to align with them. And then
I didn't even think about that.
It might lead to like some Bucks like tension, being like, Kenny, what the fuck? You're our best friend. What are you doing with them? And that kind of leads to like a match with them or something, which would be sick.
I
like,
didn't
even if
even
it's like
think
a
about that at
one-off,
all.
but like that's what I want. Like, and there was another theory that Kento was the one who attacked Moxley because Kento was supposed to have the U.S. title match with him and stuff.
Yes.
Again,
you see, that
both are
is what
tying to Bullet Club, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
With Kenny being with the Bullet Club.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because Kenta hasn't been shown on New Japan. He hasn't been shown on anything. That's what I thought was going to happen. And, they're doing something similar. But, like, what people have said, at least what I've tried to read as much as I can about, is that there was, like, one guy that was pretty much blocking the New Japan relationships and the AEW relationships from, like, coming back out.
He's gone now, right?
Yeah. And then, with the TNA AEW thing, like, they're already halfway there, okay? And AEW is tight with New Japan. And it's like, and Tony Khan said, hey, Moxley's not going to be at Wrestle Kingdom. That's fine. But give me a super show. Give me the the Battle of Los Angeles. Give me the old school ROH and New Japan pay-per-views.
Yes.
I'll take that. I don't care if there's not much of a story to it even. Give me some moments like that, because one of the coolest things I ever saw in WWE was when you had Styles and Gallows and Anderson see Finn Balor, and they did the whole like too sweet thing. They're like, oh, come on.
Oh, yep.
And he didn't fucking do it because he was, because he was a babyface. But I'm like, dude, y'all should have done that. Like,
and they kind of had the weird tease in NXT a little when he was like more heel, and they came in and stuff like that. But then they didn't really capitalize on it at all, which sucks.
Yeah, and then like you had, and the thing that sucked the worst was when they did WWE did like that Japanese pay per view. Like when they were in Japan and the Budokan or whatever, and Triple H was with the Good Brothers, and they were doing the too sweet. I'm like, look, I know you were part of the clique, and they invented it, but the Bullet Club took that and fucking made it their own. Like this is their stuff now.
But he was like the
pissed.
C team of like NWO. You know what I mean? Like it's not like he was like God. Hunter's just the dude who's been in like everything almost. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously he was DX, but like.
It's not the same, man. And like, I want this. Like, let's just talk about it. Like, winter's coming. All the Sting debut was obviously insane. The tag matches were insane. Everything was insane. But at the end of the day, the end of that episode, dude, I honestly couldn't believe it that they actually did it.
No,
that was my.
I was like,
I was hoping they'd eventually talk. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it either. I was like, yeah, we'll see you on Tuesday. Dynamite's on Wednesday. Yeah, we'll see you Tuesday. Impact. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
What?
On Access TV, like they're plugging the fucking show, like the time, the everything, and then obviously, what did I do? I fucking watched Impact on Tuesday, which I never do. Same. I watched the YouTube shit on the highlight reels. Yeah. And I forgot it's on Twitch. That's the one thing about them that's really cool.
Yeah. It's like obviously everyone doesn't have access. Even if you have cable, so like, hey, we're gonna put.
Are we gonna spend $25 for access? Yeah, like.
Exactly.
But like, I watched it, and like the way Kenny is just now almost like an NWOS, where like Hogan and them were like, yeah, we got fucking money, we have buses, we got
right.
Come
out of the fucking helicopter.
And I was just like, dude. And I watched the Impact thing, and pretty much they didn't reveal anything other than like, I'm the shit. I'm collecting belts everywhere. And like Kenny is going to AAA to defend the belt that he has, but it's like this could be the start of like a very big out, and they're not going to turn into a super company, and I don't think so at all. There's too much money to be made. But give me more interpromotional stuff that we used to watch back in the 90s, back in the early 2000s. That is what I want to happen out of AEW. And because Tony Khan, at the end of the day, Tony Khan's not just a business owner, not just a billionaire, but he's a fan.
Yeah.
He's going to do as much as he can within reason to reward not only himself, because he wants to see the shit.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Like there was an interview with him and Jericho and they're talking about an ECW match in '97. He's like, yeah, I was there, and he fucking was in the stands. And I'm like,
Yeah.
how crazy that your boss used to watch you when they were a kid.
Yeah, it's
Like,
fucking crazy. So I definitely think I'm guessing he probably defends the AAA title because I doubt they're going to want Kenny Omega to lose that title after losing the AEW title. And they even had the little stinger before the Kenny Omega interview with Rich Swann where they wouldn't let him through. And they're like, oh, yeah, the real champion is out in the parking lot in the bus. You know what I mean? Being like, yeah, a real champ's out there. So it's like, I feel like it's obviously leading to like a Rich Swann, Kenny Omega thing where he goes for that belt. And I know, isn't Ibushi going for the main belt
in
Wrestle
New
Kingdom?
Japan. Yeah, he is.
So if Ibushi wins it, Kenny Omega is coming to challenge Ibushi. I would bet money on it. Because
it'd be insane to have that such long form storytelling that I know they weren't planning on it because of all the relationship shit.
Right.
But bring it back, dude. I agree with that completely, dude.
Dude, because the whole thing is like no one's ever kicked out of the One Wing Angel. Well, there's been one person that's kicked out of the One Wing Angel, and that's Kota Ibushi. So and they've referenced him a couple times in AEW, not like directly, but like indirectly.
It was the Halloween thing.
Yeah, they
where
had
they had the little
entrance thing, and it had like Ibushi involved in like the like graphic or whatever, and shit like that. So it has to be leading to stuff like that. Like I can see him going to Ring of Honor, winning that belt and shit. Like I mean, it would only help Ring of Honor to have Kenny Omega show up and win the title.
Yeah, no shit. Like I mean, who do they have? Jay Lethal? Like still, like I love Ring of Honor.
Who is the main champion right now?
Because
no idea. Like, oh no, it's Roosh.
I don't even know who the hell that is.
He's a dude he came from like AAA. He was like big in AAA.
Okay.
But he's facing, who is he facing? He's facing someone for like Final Battle or something coming up. But he hasn't defended it in like months. So it's like he won it and pretty much the pandemic happened and they weren't doing shows for forever.
Like I want to see. The one thing about Ring of Honor is like the one staple they've had Jay Lethal and they've had the Briscoes. Give me an FTR versus the fucking Briscoes. You want to talk about some knockdown, drag out shit, bro? Oh my god,
good shit.
And you see, that's
Briscoes
the thing I want FTR to do. Yeah, they're fucking incredible. I want FTR to just wrestle every tag team from every division, and they don't have to beat them. I don't fucking care about that. Yeah. But those are the guys that want to just put over tag team wrestling more than anything else. And that's what I like about them so much and the gimmick is they're saying no flips his fist. You know, they don't like that shit, but they put over the Young Bucks so well in that match because they tried to imitate what they did. And that's why I like the finish of that so well. But what's funny is he did that shit perfectly, by the way. That was like,
I was like,
450.
What the fuck, dude? You can do that? I was like, what?
Yeah, he was like, yeah.
That was a clean ass 450. You're fucking right. I was like, what?
They're not body guys too, which is the other thing too. It's like they are literally the old school fucking like FTR. If I showed it to my dad, God rest his soul, because he was a big Four Horsemen fan, that would be his guys. Because my dad loved the Four Horsemen and Ric Flair, and I was the Sting guy and I fucking hated the Four Horsemen. But now I'm like, I love the Four Horsemen. I love FTR. You know what I mean? But that's what you do. Like my son, I'm trying to get him to watch wrestling. He fucking was like, this is stupid. Like I'm trying to get him into it. I was like, come on, I watched this when I was a kid. He's like, why are they in their underwear? And I'm like, all right, you're
fine.
Okay. I tried.
Dude, do you think this Four Horsemen thing they've been teasing for literally months is going to pan out to something?
Yes. But I think so. Like, you know how Cody, we thought he turned heel when he came out to like pretty much looking
flashing the four and
you know, you thought he was fucking Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance back in the day. Like, you know, he came out dark hair and everything, like fucking all that. But you see, what I wanted to happen was you want Cody to really turn full heel because they're still cheering him now, right? You want Cody to turn full heel? Turn on Arn. Turn on Arn Anderson. Arn Anderson gets pissed off. Arn, Tully, Sean Spears, The Revival, and this is like long ball, MJF.
Huh.
You give me – because like Wardlow's going to be a face. I feel like Wardlow's going to distance himself from MJF. They're going to do a face thing with him. So you give me MJF as the leader of the Four Horsemen with FTR and Sean Spears because none of them are gimmick wrestlers. None of them have any high-flying anything. It's the perfect eat shit, we're all heels, we're never going to be faces group.
Yeah, I think they wanted to turn Cody heel in the beginning, but he was so over. And obviously AEW, that's like one of the most things about AEW I love.
They're reactionary.
They're so aware of like what's going on. You know what I mean? They'll make fun of like stuff they do to make it like a joke on BTE. Like they made the whole Matt Sydal thing falling a
Oh
joke
shit!
and shit like that with
Nakazawa.
Nakazawa and stuff like that. Like they're so aware of like what the fuck is going on. It's like I don't watch AW or BTE like every week, but I try to because it fills in some gaps. You know what I mean? It's like
I
fun.
also like how, I mean, at this point we're fucking grown. We know it's a work. We know it.
Yeah, right.
So when I see stuff like them planning stuff or like the one they did last week, I try to watch BT when I can because it is a cool thing behind it.
Yeah.
But what's funny is you got guys like, first off, John Silver is one of the funniest fucking people I've
I
ever seen in my
love
life.
fucking John Silver. I think he's like my favorite. We talked about like breakout people. He's probably my favorite wrestler of 2020. Like,
oh my god,
he's so great. I love him.
And like I
He's
know
so
he
great.
wrestled in PWG against like Adam Cole and shit, and he's like a small dude, but the dude can fucking move. He's built like a brick shit house.
Yeah, dude.
And like you know, obviously he hasn't had much time, but like BT is where like all the Dark Order, especially Brody Lee too. Like, there's two Brody Lees. There's Brody Lee, the fearsome guy, and there's fucking the Brody Lee, the comedian on BT.
Yeah.
And like all those people though, for like all the marks and shit that are super into it, it's such a good YouTube show to watch because like Eddie Kingston was cutting promos about cookies and it's because that's how fucking good Eddie Kingston is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like the fact that he was in that shit, and I was just like, man, like I enjoy the little BTE storytelling, but I also enjoy how like they will reference BT as well, and they have Dark, they have this, but Tony Khan said they're going to be doing another show.
Yeah.
And it's like because now they honestly have such a talent. And I wouldn't say it's being wasted, but it's like, I know Pentagon or Phoenix is injured from the last match from last week. That's what was said. And I really hate that because it's like, I want the Lucha Brothers to do something, but it's like, if one of them can get a singles push, and I really don't give a shit who it is, I prefer it to be Pentagon because he knows how to tell a story.
Yeah.
But give them a singles match. Like,
I mean, Phoenix had one of the best babyface storylines in Lucha Underground.
Yeah.
He was so good when he ended up winning the title and shit. Like that was good shit. Like,
but he was carried. He was carried by the heel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. He had a good heel to go against. That's for sure. Yeah, I'm all in. I love Pentagon. He's like one of my favorite wrestlers. Like, they give more single shit with Pentagon. I'm fucking down as fuck.
Absolutely. Because who did he wrestle for the title in Lucha Underground?
Who did he wrestle for the title? Holy shit!
Who was it? Was it Mil Muertes? Yeah, it was Mil Muertes.
And he beat him, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Oh yeah, because he ended up winning it back.
Yeah.
Mil Muertes.
Like Mil Muertes is like.
Or did he beat Matanza?
Let me take a look. I'm trying to Google. I'm trying to Google this shit, right? Like,
it was so long ago. Because I didn't really watch the last season of Lucha Underground, to be honest.
No, I didn't either. But I didn't know. Do you know it came out in 2014? That's fucking crazy. That's 6 years.
Really?
Ago. It does not feel like it's been 6 years ago. Lucha Underground.
I wonder. I can't remember.
Came out from it. That's a decade ago.
Dude, I bought that shit on iTunes the whole season, so I saw it as it came out weekly because it went straight to my computer or TV or whatever. So I would just watch it every week because I loved it. I don't even remember how I watched season 1, to be honest. I don't remember.
I fucking just pirated it.
I might have stolen. I might have one of those sites like watchwrestling or whatever. And that's how.
Oh my god, dude! I do that on my Xbox because I swear to God, if I went on any of those sites on my computer, my credit card's gone. Like, I got 2 loans out of my name, everything.
Oh my god, dude! Oh yeah, that's why I'm stoked because like obviously, Lucha Underground and TNA had that like working relationship, so kind of all of them just went to TNA by proxy, or they could because it was like a loophole in their contract.
Mm-hmm.
But once their shit was up. Like a lot of them have showed up in AEW for the most part, like a ton of them.
Yeah, dude. Like that's a thing that I know. Gallows and Anderson specifically on all the Talk and Shop podcast they did. They said, yeah, we signed a deal with Impact, but we can go to New Japan. That was like a thing that they made sure of. But if Impact and AEW start having that relationship, give me, and they don't have to. The Good Brothers, like Carl Anderson and Gallows, they don't care if they win or lose. They just want to fucking. They just want to come out, drink some beers, fucking do their shit. So bring them in, have them turn on the Young Bucks, have them beat them in like a redemption line, and that would be sick as fuck.
Dude, I want them to be with Omega so bad.
It'd be clean. I would
love it.
But who would be like because like Omega and the Bucks were the elite. So it's like if the elite are done, who is the singles person on the Bucks side if they do a 3 and 3? Is it gonna be Cody? Like
maybe Hangman comes back.
Need to see that. You
That
got
would
me
make
there.
sense
You
because
got me
they
there.
obviously they've been kind of trying to mend it. He came out to help them a couple
Yes.
weeks ago, and then he was the odd man out when they won. Like they
Yeah.
played it out in BT and everything, and that's why he's kind of like clicking to this Dark Order thing. But
That
that would be the
shit is
story. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
Omega and Good Brothers versus Bucks and Page. Like who would want something better than that? Like that's fucking insane. All former Bullet Club people.
Yep.
Like. That's
Yep.
crazy because like not a lot of people remember Hangman was in the Bullet Club too.
Yeah, like right before all that shit. Like, dude, I didn't even think about that. One of the funniest things I saw last week though was how the Dark Order was trying to recruit Dustin Rhodes. And what's
Oh,
funny about
yeah.
that is they kept saying the word 7, and I'm not sure because like you said you didn't watch WCW a lot, but Dustin Rhodes was in WCW. He was the natural Dustin Rhodes, is what he comes now. But what's funny is before that they
He was
debuted him
7.
as 7, which is the rip off of the Undertaker. Have you ever seen what he looked like?
A little bit because post wrestling they brought that up and they were like, yeah, we understand if a lot of people don't get this because it was a very small part of like a WCW thing, like
Dude,
very small.
he looked like Uncle Fester,
Oh God.
like just white face, fucking Undertaker hat, and it was bad. It was really bad.
That would be really hilarious if they ended up getting Dustin Rhodes into Dark Order. I
I
love
want
I love
some.
these all random people joining the Dark Order. Like
Yes,
when Cole Cabana was joining, I was like, this is hilarious. I was like,
you see, it makes sense though because like he is an indie darling. You know, people love him, but he's not like the main star. And at this point in his career, you know,
yeah,
he's just wanting to fucking work, get some money, put other people over, and just give back the business that gave him so much. And him being like the second in command of Dark Order practically is cool as shit. Even though Anna is technically the second in command, because I love all the BT shit where she's just like pushing Stu off, and you know,
the stuff with her and Stu is hilarious.
oh my god, dude. I'm like, damn, is this real life? Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I love all their stuff on BT. I'm glad. Like, I think that's why like John Silver is getting such a like highlight on Dynamite now because I
Yeah,
think like Tony was probably like, "Yo, bring this show to TV. This is
yeah.
amazing," And
On
that's when he
the
started getting like more and more TV time, and I was like, "Fuck yeah!" I was like, "This is hilarious."
yeah, the match with him and Orange Cassidy where all he did was flex for like a minute and a half
It was
was
so
just
great.
fucking
I even
hilarious.
loved
And
when Brody was the champion and he made him stand in the corner just holding the title like he was like a podium. Like I loved it. And even the moment in BTE when after he lost and he knew he was the one who like took the chain to the face and stuff like that and stuff
oh
for him.
yeah.
He's like, everyone get out. You can stay. And he like finally got his respect. I was like, damn, man, that's nice.
Yeah.
I
I
wonder what's
loved it.
going on with him. Like, why hasn't he been back?
Brody Lee's been injured.
Oh.
They haven't said what. Like Tony Khan said, like Brody Lee's. I mean, it's just he got injured during the dog collar match. It was something with his leg or some shit. And, you know, with him being tall as fuck and a leg injury, that's like always a pain in the ass. So, like,
Yeah,
for them
that
to deal with.
sucks. I was wondering, like, it makes sense why he's like left, and it hasn't like been like a crazy outlier. I was just wondering if there was some reason because I tend to not follow the dirt sheets anymore because a lot of it is just like
Bullshit.
trash.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
my friend sends me this trash site, and I was like, "Did you actually read this article?" Because I was like,
Oh, bro,
it
this is so bad.
completely contradicts the headline." And he's like, "No, I
Yeah.
didn't read it." And I was like,
No,
"Ah." I was
it's
like, "You're
super
a smart,
clickbaity.
you're a smart person. Stop reading terrible fucking news articles, man. Come
Yeah.
on."
It's dude, wrestling is really bad with clickbait stuff. Like I try not to because like it's so bad.
Yeah,
You know?
I only trust it if like Post Wrestling or Wrestling Sheet posts it,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, this is legit because they're like actual news
Yeah.
sources.
I'm a big fan of the British guys, What Culture Wrestling.
Oh yeah. I
They're
watch
really
some of
fun.
their videos on YouTube sometimes.
Yeah. That's actually so Simon Miller from What Culture Wrestling does Ups and Downs. That's how I watch the real recaps from WWE and Impact because it's a
Oh,
15-minute video. He's like what he liked about it, what he didn't like about it, but he tells you what happened in the story. And I'm like, thank you for condensing this. Now I don't have to like read it. Now I don't have to watch it. And what's
there you
funny is
go.
I don't even watch it. I listen to it. Like if I had
Yeah,
YouTube Premium, because like and this sounds crazy, but it's like I'll wash dishes on my lunch break because even though I'm working from home, I give myself an hour of reprieve. So
yeah,
like
of course.
from 12 to 1, I'll be washing dishes, and that's like the after Dynamite on Thursday at 11 they premiere. So the premiere's done. So when I start washing dishes, I just put my phone on the mantle, play the ups and downs, listen to it while I'm washing dishes, and I'm like, oh cool, that's what happened. Now I don't have to care. Like because
Dude, yeah,
like
that's like what Post Wrestling does, but
mhm.
there's more in depth because they like almost give you a play by play of the match.
Oh wow, that's fucking
Yeah,
cool.
that's why I always listen to like the Dynamite one to get like
Mm,
more like, oh, did I miss anything? Like, oh, was I not paying attention? And like,
yeah.
it's super cool to hear like their insight and stuff. And that's like when I was saying like I would listen to their like Impact post wrestling shows because like I literally would know exactly what happened without watching it. You know?
Yeah. That's super fucking sick. I just don't know, like, I'm really excited with the Omega stuff. I'm really excited with the Impact, with all the Impact, all the potential New Japan stuff. One of my biggest things that I've loved so much about AEW is the fact that they do title changes on television,
Oh yeah, that's sick.
because they only do 4 pay-per-views a year supposedly, but like the fact that we had a world championship change on TV, the fact that we've had the TV title, and the TV title is supposed to be the TV title, like the
Right.
TNT title is the
Yeah.
TV title, but like, give Darby it for a little bit, but the fact that it changes so much is what makes me so happy about
Yeah.
being able to invest in a TV show and have it reward you for something by continuously
Right.
watching it. Like, the problem with WWE is they do not change titles often enough, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Especially even the Intercontinental or the US and all that, like the tag team titles, like they don't change it enough for it to truthfully matter
Mhm.
to somebody that's more of a hardcore fan. A casual fan, just like, oh, that's the guy that's had the title for 8 months.
Right. 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 Right.
And I enjoy seeing it change up, because title runs can get old. Moxley had a great run, but
Yeah.
he beat everybody. And so at
Yeah.
that point, what
Everybody.
is there to do? Yeah. What is there
Exactly.
to do in Mox? Is
You get
thank
to
God,
you get to a certain point. Yeah.
like, I don't know. I'm excited for the future, for
Me
sure.
too. Yeah. Like I said, I haven't got bored of it. Like every time I watch Dynamite, it's nothing drags. It's like over in an instant. You know what I mean? It's like you're like, oh wow, 2 hours already done. Wow, I didn't even like
It's
think about it.
it's
It's done.
it's digestible, because like I'll
Yeah.
watch Dark, like and what's cool about Dark is that, yeah, they have the whole show. They also clip individual matches for you, be like, oh,
Oh
he was
right,
on
right,
Dark
right.
today, like on YouTube. And so like I'll be able to watch like the Gun Club and versus some, because I used to love Billy Gunn, and it's cool that
Yeah.
he's wrestling with his fucking kids,
Yeah. It
and the
is
guy
pretty
still
cool.
looks like a brick shit house.
Yeah, dude is
And
ripped for his age. It's crazy.
God Almighty. But like, and the Team Taz thing has been really cool for me, because I didn't like Brian Cage. I still don't like him, just because I just think he's a
Really?
meathead.
I
Yeah,
love
I know.
Brian
I,
Cage.
I think I just haven't seen enough of his work yet. What they've done in AEW has been lackluster to me
They
with
haven't
him.
let him go yet.
But dude, Ricky Starks though,
Yeah,
that's
that dude's a star
that dude
for real.
is amazing. And like Taz being behind all of it is cool. The Powerhouse Hobbs thing is cool. I also like, and I'm just gonna say it, the whole elephant in the room here. They give positions of power, respect to people that aren't just white meat, white baby faces and heels. Like, you have people that are, not only just, different sexualities, like you have Sunny Kiss, you have Nyla Rose, but you have every, like, somebody that's not just like, hey, this is the token black guy. Like, no,
Right.
this is Will Hobbs, like the strong fucking dude. You have LAX, and I know they're not LAX. I know Santana's, but they're LAX, damn it.
Yeah.
Like LAX, it's all authentic. There's no token character here, which is what I love about the way
Yeah.
this company
They're all
does
just
it.
people.
And that's what I like about it. And what's funny is MJF with Santana and Ortiz being that tone deaf white guy that's like trying to say all like the Spanish phrases and shit. It, to me, that type of stuff is making, because MJF is from Long Island, which is near Connecticut. I feel like that's almost a rib on how when Cena and Vince McMahon did the whole like Ebonics thing they did for a little bit. You know what I mean?
Right, 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 right. Yeah,
And because it made you
a
fucking
deep
hate it,
cut.
you
Yeah.
know. And like I think that's just so fucking funny to me, and it makes you also hate MJF more because he's tone deaf.
Dude, yeah. MJ, like, obviously I said he's like the best heel in wrestling, but he is so good. Like, anytime they like announce like, oh hey, we're gonna do like a non-wrestling segment, I'm like so excited.
I better be MJF. Okay.
That dinner debonair thing was the most insane thing I've ever seen on a wrestling show in my life.
So you liked it?
I thought it was amazing. Like,
okay,
I never saw it coming. It was
No.
done insanely well. And like, who has the balls to do something like that in a wrestling show? Like,
that's what I liked about it so much, because I saw so many people that are like friends of mine that are super into wrestling more than me that fucking hate it. And I'm like, man, you got to take a step back and realize that people don't do that on TV.
yeah.
And I just thought it was the coolest thing, because like my mom was older. I would listen to that type of stuff, and hearing them do that and it's like professionally fucking done. And I was like,
Yeah,
dude,
dude.
like it threw me for a loop, that's for sure. But that was the coolest thing. And the Vegas thing they did
Dude, that
a
was
couple
so
weeks
great.
ago.
Like the Hangover references, like having fucking what's his face? The
The
dude who was
comedian, the guy in the dragon or
well,
whatever.
and they had
Oh, Conan.
Conan come up, obviously like an LAX tie and shit like that. I was like,
Yeah,
oh fuck, Conan, what?
yeah,
And then having Hornswoggle as like the baby, supposed to be
dude.
the baby of the Hangover.
I
Sammy
couldn't
writing
fucking.
over fucking MJF's face. Like I was like, this is great. Like as soon as they announced it, I was like, this is gonna be awesome. Like
Yeah, and they did a really good job. Like, and what's funny with Conan, like, Kingston and LAX, was a thing for a long time.
yeah,
And they said, and like Kingston said in an interview that they don't plan on doing anything, but give me some subtle hints, some subtle nods, and respect to that, because Kingston is the fucking knockdown, drag out fucking person. And like, yeah, they have him, the Butcher and the Blade, but it's like the Butcher and Blade can do this stuff by their own. They don't
yeah,
need Kingston.
true.
Like I feel like Butcher and Blade are over as fuck. To me, I like them. I've always liked them.
Yeah, they've
Not just
definitely
because of Andy Williams, but I actually like the team.
yeah, they've come a long way. And obviously it was kind of the thing that was cool about that and kind of a bummer is when they debuted, a lot of people were like, who the fuck are these guys? Because obviously they didn't really wrestle anywhere big at
No,
all.
yeah,
It was mostly just like local ish kind of feds. Like they did like Smash Wrestling and shit like that.
yeah.
But it brought in
But
a
for the
lot of
ones that did,
people. Yeah, it brought in a lot of people who don't watch wrestling because they're like, the dude from Every Time I Die is wrestling on cable TV. I'll watch that. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Which is cool.
That alone, like I got so many people, like I got my whole band to watch it, and they don't
Hell
watch
yeah,
it.
that's sick.
And I was like, dude, Andy from Every Time I Die is wrestling like on AEW, and they're like, yeah, I mean, he's always been a brick shit house, and I'm like, no, but he's actually like a bad dude. By the way, him versus Moxley,
It's solid.
that solo match, that was good. Like that shows like, hey, he could go, he could he could sell, he could do that. And I'm
Yeah,
like, I know Andy's getting up there, but I was like, dude, this is so good. Like I want
it
him
was
to,
sick.
I want Andy, because obviously Etid's just at this point an unstoppable force that's never gonna
Yeah,
stop.
literally
But
the
I want
most
Andy
most
to,
consistent band of all time, probably.
yeah, 100%. Name a actual like bad album. Might not be the best, but name a bad album by Every Time I Die, and you don't have
Nope.
one.
Nope.
You know?
Yeah, I love and like seeing his like bandmates like tweet about him and
It's
stuff.
cool.
I talk to the drummer sometimes because
Uh-huh.
my wife is friends with his maybe now fiance or girlfriend. They live together.
Yeah.
But we ended up linking up at a Warp Tour because Every Time I Die was on it and she was there and stuff like that. He is like the
Yeah.
nicest human being ever. But like seeing him like post about like Andy on Instagram, like being on TNT and stuff. So it's like just wholesome. It's nice. I don't know. I love seeing it.
Oh yeah, like, dude. Jordan made like a giant post about it on the Every Time I Die page, and I was like, if you think about it, you can support your other, your bandmates and their like endeavors, but when you're using your platform, which is they're obviously one of the biggest bands in this underground scene
Right.
in existence now at this point, like that brought so many eyes to that product where they loved wrestling when they were a kid, and now like, I mean, Sting itself is gonna bring
Dude.
just seeing it every week. Sting on TNT, you're like, I remember this when I was a kid.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Like I feel
And
like that's such a big. I know some people like complained about it. And they're like, "Oh, that's such a WWE move," and I was like, look at how they've treated him so differently than WWE treated him when he
yeah,
came in. I was like, it's night and day. It's not the
yeah.
same. And I was like,
That's the thing that sucks about staying in the WWE is he did he win a match? Did he win a singles match? He never did.
I
He
don't
won a tag
think
match.
so. Yeah.
Seth Rollins beat him and Triple H beat him. And I think Triple H beating him at WrestleMania, just to say that real quick, was the dumbest decision. Like,
Yeah.
how are you gonna have Sting
Why?
lose at WrestleMania?
Yeah. Why? What does Hunter have to gain to win that? Other
Nothing.
than being like a fuck you to WCW, I guess.
I
So
don't know.
lame. So I loved his stuff with Seth Rollins. This stuff was kind of sick. Like even his introduction was kind of cool when he came in
Yeah.
the Survivor Series stuff. I was like, oh, that's fucking cool. And even like the whole storyline with Seth Rollins was cool. But again, Sting does not need to be challenging for the belt.
No.
At all. Like if he came out and interrupted Kenny Omega after winning the title, I would have been like, this is lame as fuck.
No, 100%. Because there's no point. That's what I feel like killed Kevin Owens' run in the WWE is when Goldberg beat him in order for Goldberg to lose the belt. Because like Kevin Owens is the shit. I think he's amazing. But when you have Goldberg beat him that fast,
And
it doesn't
also,
do him justice.
it was supposed to be Kevin Owens versus Jericho for that title at
Mm-hmm.
WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But no, you have to bring it in and have Goldberg be the fucking champion for whatever fucking reason.
Yeah. By the way, the best thing WWE has done, besides the New Day, is that Festival of Friendship when he turned.
Amazing. I mean, I have to imagine that was mostly Jericho and
100%. Yeah. Like there wasn't anything else. I mean, you can clearly tell when a wrestler actually thinks of something and like the WWE creative thinks of something.
Dude,
because of how bad it is.
And that's the thing that sucks is because the coolest things that have happened in the past like almost 10 years in wrestling have been because of someone getting over that they didn't plan on getting over. Daniel Bryan, Kofi Kingston, like shit like that. Like they didn't plan on that. It just happened and they had to do it.
Yeah.
But like how shitty is that?
Yeah, it's because they get their hand forced, right, with Kofi Kingston, Daniel Bryan, and all that. But there's sometimes where they should have had their hand forced more. Like you had
Rusev.
you had Rusev Day, you had Long Island IZ, you had a guy that no wrestler before BT, before anything. What the fuck was his name? Zack Ryder. When he was Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona, he did YouTube before any wrestler did YouTube.
Yeah, dude.
He put himself over, and we know what they do? They fucking buried him
even
to the
Sandow.
ground. Yeah, that's the guy that hasn't been seen yet.
He was in NWA, but his character on it, like, because I kind of tried to watch some NWA stuff. It's just not for me. I don't like the throwback vibes of it. It's just like too much for me. I can see why people like it for sure.
I feel like if you and I were like maybe 10, 15 years older, like in our 40s when NWA was a thing and it was just closed circuit television, you'd appreciate it more. Because I feel the same way. It doesn't click with me. Because it doesn't hit me here, but like if my dad watched it, I guarantee he'd be like, "This is my shit. Right. This is what I used to look forward to every night after Pop got home from the steel mill." But it's not what we watched.
Exactly. Like I can understand why people like it. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just not for me. Mm-hmm. And I would like watch his promos, and I'm like, he's like trying too hard almost, and I'm like, this isn't like the genuine like. It's not coming off like natural, like the whole Mizdow thing did, and that shit was
hilarious.
They had him win the fucking briefcase, and then he lost it in a cash-in. Like, how shot is that? And then they had even the blow-off match sucked. It was just whatever. Like
that's how I feel. So like one of the things, and I know we're talking about AEW, but one of the problems one of the things that we've at least I feel with wrestling right now is when you have a character that's so beloved. It's not, you don't have to push them to the moon, have them lose and all that, but do the right thing with their direction. Like Otis from Heavy Machinery, won at WrestleMania, got to kiss Mandy Rose. Coolest thing. I love the whole thing. I thought it was cute. I loved Otis, right? But what they've done with him post that has been nothing. And
he lost the briefcase, right?
Yeah, and he lost the briefcase because the problem is they made Roman Reigns champion, and they're not gonna have Roman lose to Otis, so that's why they made him lose the briefcase. You know what I mean? And and the best thing WWE has done with character development is Roman Reigns, because they finally turned him into what he should have been: is a badass, cool dude that will beat the brakes off your ass, and that's it. He's not a member of the Shield. Yeah, he's not a member of the Shield anymore, but he's the only one still wearing the vest and all that other stuff. Dude, the guy looks good as shit. Wrestle with your shirt off. You're Samoan. Samoans are bad motherfuckers. Name a bad Samoan wrestler. There's none.
Right.
You got Tama. You got Tama. You got Bad Luck Fale. You have fucking Roman. You have the Usos. They're all fucking amazing. Mm-hmm. And so why not let him do that? And the stuff with him and Jay was fantastic, but that was all the power of those two people. Yeah. Jey Uso's talent and Roman Reigns' talent that has been stifled so much by the WWE creative. Damn well he just said, "Oh, I got to be the big dog. This is my yard. This is my yard. This is the big dog." When WWE forces something, when they have a catchphrase that's repeated every single day. AEW doesn't do that. AEW can say, "Freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy." They just say
that's
Orange Cassidy.
Once.
But
they might say it once, and that's it.
Yeah, but WWE every day, it's the big dog. It's the big dog. Did you know this is his yard? Hey, Michael, is this the big dog? Yeah, this is his yard, Michael. It's the big dog. Yeah. And it's like the thing with Lars Sullivan, the fucking racist gay, whatever the hell he is. He's fucking, that guy's a nut. Like, if you see any of the dirt sheets about him with all the shit he posts on like weird conservative like forums and shit, you haven't seen any of that?
I've heard some of it.
So like he just pretty much posted like a bunch of neo-Nazi rants on like this workout form and saying like how he loves the shape of a man's body, but it's not gay, but he have sex with it, and it's like it's this weird like he is probably in the closet, but he's homophobic too at the same time, but he's tweeting all this shit, and you're pushing this guy like on television even after all this, and now like he's not, but and then of course he plays the mental health card, and I understand I'm not saying mental health is wrong, but it's like after you just caught out doing that, now you're playing the mental health card.
Yeah,
come on, bro. But like they push the wrong people.
Yeah, my biggest thing with that company is not the creative is whatever, and I'm not the biggest fan of it is one thing, but all the shit they do to their employees is so fucking lame. Oof. Like, dude, you're gonna have like the New Day, but then you're gonna help like pour money into the Trump campaign. Like Linda McMahon was on his fucking cabinet and shit. Like that's so fucked. And the whole Twitch thing, like, hey, you guys are independent contractors, but we're gonna control what you do. And we're going to take away money from you. Like, what?
That is such a crazy argument, because if they gave them benefits, if they gave them a true revenue share model like people do with merch deals, like what Pro Wrestling Tees does with all of the AEW. AEW has their own merch store, but they also have other people have their stuff on Pro Wrestling Tees, and they push both of them. But it's a rev share model. It's they're obviously taking most of it, but it's like the payout, the trickle down effect is crazy for some people. And like some people don't even have merch. Like this is even going back 10, 15 years ago. Jacqueline, old school black, one of the divas, she won the title once or twice. She was really cool. Not Jazz. Jazz was on a podcast, and she said throughout her entire career, she never had a single shirt. Dude. So it's like all she got paid was from the house and from the gigs, but it's like, that's where they make their living. Especially indie wrestlers, that's all they do is make off of merch.
It's like bands. That's how they make their money.
Yeah, merch. You think the guarantee's gonna help? Fuck no. But like, man, it's so weird to see them pushing like, hey man, this is the anti-bullying campaign, and yet they're funding like $250,000 to the Trump campaign, which is like the biggest bully in the fucking world. Like, are you kidding me right now, bro?
Yeah, dude.
But it's so hypocritical. And granted, I would rather just prefer any company like that to have a political stance, and that's okay if you do, if you're more Republican, more conservative, or whatever. But don't push two agendas at the same time. Yeah. Like, come the fuck on, man. Like, we're better than that. Like, oh, this is the women's revolution. Yeah, we're endorsing a guy who he thinks they're just fucking meat socks. Like, one of these things is not like the other, man.
Yeah, dude. Exactly. Like, that's my thing. Obviously people in AEW have had issues, but they've been pretty outright with it and been like, hey, and like even like the Sammy Guevara thing, like obviously what he posted was fucked up, but they did the right thing, and they're like, hey, we're going to correct this wrong and have him actually learn from it rather than just firing him. Like, we're not just going to do the reactionary thing. We're going to work on this and make a better situation out of it, which is what people should do, because like people cannot be like, unless they do something insanely fucked up, like, you know what I mean? But like, if they say something, you can be taught something different. You can learn and adapt and be a better person. Saying something and doing an action that's irreversible are completely different. People say shit that's fucked up all the time. We're humans. We're like ill-tempered beings. Like, people make mistakes. You can make a mistake and say something wrong. I'm sure everyone has said something that they shouldn't have said in their lives, at least a handful of times. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, it's like, it's also like some people, like Sammy Guevara at that time, which was 5-6 years ago, he's probably like what, 19, 20?
Yeah.
They talk about raping people. I mean, like, I'm not trying to like, I'm not saying it in a negative way, but it's like, that's what a younger kid, I guarantee, and thank God my son's only 8, but some of his, when he becomes more of a teenager, I'm guaranteed, man, I'm raping these kids in Fortnite, or some shit like that. And, one of the things about AEW is they have a higher level of character that they want to have people, like, they have a higher standard of person they want to be. It doesn't matter. Like, dude, Jake Hager, full right wing as fuck, Republican dude, MAGA guy. But do you see that on anything about his television? Do you see that about anything?
Right.
And like, so is Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho donated to the Trump campaign. Jericho is a really big right wing guy, and he was like, "Can you believe the election?" I'm like, "Shut up." But like, you're Canadian, you don't count anyways. But like, sure. But they don't push that agenda. You don't see many, because you have LAX who clearly fucking hate Trump. Like, they've said that multiple times, in the same faction with them, but they don't push an agenda a certain way. They say what honestly matters. And And the only thing is, I remember they did talk about this, is like with the George Floyd stuff, when they talk about, they did a little bit of Black Lives Matter in the television, and I was wondering, like, I wonder what Jake Hager thinks right now. But I know, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, it seems like they obviously have to be like, even if they have those sort of views, they have to be understanding because of the people they're surrounded with on a weekly
absolutely.
basis. Like they have to get it and be like, yes, this does matter. And I know Jericho has said things on like both sides a little bit because he'd be like, yes, obviously this is wrong,
Yeah.
and shit like that. Like, and I remember he tweeted something that was super stupid, and then he ended up taking it down and like kind of reversing. I think it was something
Yeah.
about the riots and stuff around
Yeah.
Black
Yeah.
Lives Matter.
I remember that.
And then eventually he took it down. And probably someone was like, because he's just like an old dude. Like
Yeah.
some of these people who come from the generation before us, they don't understand it because it wasn't like such a topical thing. So, but he obviously shown he can like learn and be like, oh, okay, I see what I did wrong, my bad, and shit like that. That's what it's like when people are like hopping on Jericho for shit, and I'm like, he's obviously proven he can learn and do better. So it's like,
I hate to say it. I hate to say it like this too. When you reach a certain status level when it comes to your income and your, what you do in your life, you actually lose time to actually catch up with current events at this point.
true. Yeah.
So the only time that
They
you
live
really
a different kind of life.
No, I'm being serious. Like,
for real, they do. Yeah.
Yeah. There was a rapper that said he really doesn't give a shit because he was like, I'm not in the streets anymore. And so he's like, and it was a rapper. It was I think I was like, I don't know who it was. And, hopefully nobody corrects me, but I don't know who it was, but it was a main like high level name rapper that said like, that doesn't have anything to do with me because I'm not in that anymore, and like people like Jericho and, Vincent McMahon and like Goldberg, anybody that's like making just that type of money, they're so distanced from current events that all they'll see is like, oh, this is what the news said. Well, this is what's going on,
Right.
and like people that are more active on like, and like Jericho, like I love him to death, but Fozzy playing Sturgis in the middle of the pandemic with like all these fucking people, I was like, yo, you definitely fucked that one up. But you know what's funny? He did it, and yeah, he's unapologetic about it, but I still like him, but because he's never went past that bar. It's like, this is his personal opinion, and like we talked about it before for a second, before the podcast started, there's family members that have different views than me, but I'm not gonna not hate them. But it's like they're also not saying anything that's actually wrong in terms of like an offensive way.
Right.
People could say their piece, and as long as it's not pushing too far, I'm okay with it. Because like there's certain shit that AEW people say, and like, Cody, as much as I love him, you know what I mean? Like not Cody, but Dustin. He's an old school guy, so he's definitely way more, right wing, older, type of guy. And like I mean, Dustin, shit, he was the first androgynous, gay, trans type character in wrestling, period. So like he's totally about it. And him and Sonny Kiss has been fantastic together. But like, you can't tell me that those type of people, I mean, damn well Dusty Rhodes probably said the N-word a couple times, but he didn't mean it. It's just what was happening back then. But what's funny is now this is so much more cultured. And what I like about AEW is it's an actual melting pot on all different levels, people from all different backgrounds.
Yeah.
NXT is just getting people from like football and from soccer and from basketball, and they're making them into their version of wrestlers. Where you have AEW, which has former stars, indie people, some project people, like where they're building themselves up, but they're all from different walks of life, different backgrounds, and it's all shown in a more realistic light because you and I can relate better to most of the people on AEW than anybody that's wrestling on WWE right now.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And they actually like let their personalities and characters come through, which is obviously another big difference. And that's like the whole thing with like politics. Like obviously I've been very outspoken with political views and shit like that, but you can have different political views, but like when you're people on this kind of space, when you're like famous,
yeah,
well, however corny that may sound, but like these people are like celebrities to a point. It's like as long as they're not using it to like push some like kind of crazy agenda, like cool, whatever, believe whatever you want. It's just like it's just hard to see when some of these people like are pushing these like terrible agendas. It's like that's where like the line kind of gets like shitty for me, where I'm like, oh fuck that guy, when they go to that level. You know what I mean? Because even some of the people who are on the other side, it's not like they're like pushing anything. They'll push stuff in support of something, but it's not anything that's like bastardizing, like a whole process or a whole group of people or shit like that. It's just like that's like the hard part,
Yeah, no, like, and as much as I hate fucking WWE because they're most people always punch up. You're not supposed to punch down. You really can't shit talk an indie wrestling company or like this company because they're the small guys. They don't either know any better, they don't have the ability to do anything. So when you punch up, you're attacking WWE. You're attacking sometimes even AEW. But it's because they quote unquote should know better. But the thing is though, WWE should know better. They're a publicly traded company. And time again, they fuck up so much. And it's never a my bad. It's never a we should have known better. They don't address things that they should be addressing.
Right.
And like with AEW, I feel like if that ever happened, they would address it in a way not only to the general public, but to the fans that actually means something. Like,
right.
If that happened. And that's what's like, it's more down to earth. I mean, fuck, the owner of the company is a guy who at the end of the day is just a fan that wants to make something different,
Right. Yeah.
And that's what's so fucking cool to me is like from the top down, you have people that are just in it for one thing, and that's for the love of wrestling. Whereas you have somebody that's, I gotta appease the shareholders. I gotta do this. Like I know VKM, Vincent McMahon, he's a fucking genius. He's a credit to everything that we're talking about now. To be completely fair.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
At the end of the day, now he's so distanced because he's a billionaire. Okay,
right.
He's so out of the loop where you just have Kevin Dunn and all those other people there that just run everything, and the creative is just TV writers. And that's the other ththing is we're already used to, you and me, we watch TV shows too. We don't turn on wrestling to watch TV show storylines played out in wrestling. No. We want to watch wrestling storylines played out in wrestling. And that's where AEW also comes in is you don't need much to tell a story. Give me a rivalry, sell it in the fucking ring.
Yeah.
And that's what they do better. Kingston
100%.
Kingston and Moxley didn't even have to touch each other, and I bought that fucking pay-per-view.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I love that shit. Like they do it better than anyone. Like those video packages they put together. Whew,
oh man,
fire.
And it's all like most of them are from Georgia, and that's why like my state as much fucking credit as as much hate as I give it, dude. Like they put out some of the best shit period when it comes to wrestling. Like
it's good shit.
Oh man.
Sure. Before we wrap this thing up, is there anything you want to plug personally or band wise?
Oh yeah, dude, sure. Like I'm honestly, I was so excited to actually be a part of this podcast because I've been listening to it since you dropped it. I thought it was really fucking cool because, as much as, everybody is in the metalcore community, like most of us are fucking nerds, but we don't outspread, we don't have a forum, a chance to talk about it much. Because like usually, even if you're on tour with a band together, you're talking about loading, you're talking about how the promoter fucked you or didn't fuck you over. You talk about this, you talk about merch, you talk about everything else, and like you'll have a chance. But like this is really cool because I get to see band like people that I've even done tours with. Like I've toured with Left Behind before. I didn't know Zach was like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because we didn't talk about that when we were on tour together. We talked about other things. And so you give a spotlight to the other sides of a lot of these people that I've either been on the road with or I've played shows with or I've just seen in general. And I really like that about what Metalcore Nerds does a lot. And that's what's like, inspired me to try to maybe start up something in my own different aspect though. Not more nerd related, but just more just touring related in general. It's actually, hopefully it might be titled like, this is the worst show I've ever played or something like that. Just like gonna play on, that, and it's going to be a lot of like negative things, but in a joking light, dude. We've all been there. We've all done that. We're not here to shit on it.
Yeah, reminiscing on stuff.
Exactly.
That, stuff that may have been shitty in the moment, but you can laugh about now. I mean, that's touring in a nutshell, a little bit. The first day of it happening, like the week later, hey, it's not cool, but hey, baby. But what's up? Sorry to interrupt. I gotta drink your chocolate milk. Okay. Did you hear what he said? No.
My roommate said, "Hey, dude, I have to drink your chocolate milk because it's going to expire tomorrow, and I have like half a gallon." This was random shit. But
so that was really funny, and I was gonna cut it out, but now I'm gonna leave it in because that's hilarious.
Please leave it in, please. Oh man. I'm in a band called Second Death. We're from Valdosta, Georgia. You'll see us eventually. Whenever this bullshit happens. We had a full US lined up in April with a couple bands. And I was really excited about it because it's a band that we've already done a tour with once that, we were like, we need to do this again. And usually, you know how it is when you go on tour with a band, you're like, oh yeah, we should do this again. Doesn't happen, right?
Yeah.
Well, this actually was happening. And so that's what I was like really excited about. And, we released a couple songs when the pandemic first started, and then like a couple months later. Right now, we're recording an album. Well, we're just tracking vocals at this point because that's how we do it. We're lazy. We don't do it all in one time. I wish we did, but we didn't.
I mean, you have the time now, so it's all good.
Yeah, right. So we're taking the time to honestly just write and refine. And yeah, we'll do the whole attempt to network, music thing here. One of the things that I personally enjoy more about anything is just I like touring in general, and I like talking about music in general. I like it in general. And it's like whether my band's the biggest or not is okay with me.
Right.
I just want to focus on my band's called Second Death. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. I don't know the handles, so it's fine. I'll probably send you. I'll send like a text thing of when I do it, dude. I just want to talk about nerdy shit. Honestly, I was not prepared to plug anything, but
you're good, dude.
Yeah, I mean, my band's called Second Death. I might start a podcast eventually, and I was more excited to just be a part of this, man.
Well, thank you so much for being on it and saying all those nice things about my podcast. People like you make this seem way cooler than it actually is.
it just gives us a chance. Like, dude, our vocalist Josh, we've been in Second Death the entire time, and we're both just nerdy fucking dudes. Like, all we do is talk about video games and that. And so, like, when I saw this, and I was like, you just, I wanted to be a part of it. And I mean, I know you have like all these other things, like the IGN video, the IGN one. I just really like. That was so cool because you're now, and I hope you get more guests to where. It's people outside, and even though Metalcore Nerds at the end of the day is like what it's kind of about, more the music scene and nerdy shit, but like having that extra, like that guy, because it's the exact opposite. What if you had the nerdy guy that's actually super into metalcore?
Yeah.
But we never knew that. That's the thing that's like really cool to me is pulling that out.
I'm working on trying to get it there, and now that I took a couple breaks in the middle here, I kind of started off really fast, and then kind of took some breaks and stuff. So now I'm trying to keep it consistent again. Maybe take like, if it's a break, it's like a week or 2 weeks or something, nothing crazy. And hopefully if I get that rolling, trying to get some sponsors or something. So
dude, that would be sick.
You need
to get fucking Manscaped. Every single wrestling one.
That is why I said if I get Manscaped, I've made it.
Yes, sir.
In the podcast world. I don't think I'm there yet.
What's the other one? Blue Chew, I think it is. That's
Blue
on the
Chew,
AEW
like
one.
ExpressVPN. That's a big one. So we'll see how
they all target every wrestling podcast, dude.
Yeah, a lot of the nerd podcasts Manscaped is into, like Kevin Smith's podcast.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, they do the Manscaped quite a bit and stuff. So
damn.
We'll see if I ever get Manscaped, you guys know I made it. That's my joke. That's my joke.
I love it.
But awesome, man. Thank you again so much. And
dude.
We'll talk soon, of course.
Yes.
That's it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching. As always, subscribe to Apple Podcasts, follow on Spotify, hit that 5-star review, help us jump up and have new people discover us. If you want to follow us on social media, it's at Metalcore Nerds Everything. Again, merch is half off at metalcorenerds.com. And until next time, this is Metalcore Nerds.